Welcome, misfits. Made it to this night's episode of Midnight Ranting. Evolution on trial, where the cornerstone of modern biology gets put into the hot seat. So come join us as we evolve into a good time.
Evolution's on trial. What did it do this time? Got to go bail it out. The suspect is evolution. The charge is pissing off Christians, showing them that what they believe is not right.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. It's true. And really specifically fundies of whatever theist thing. They just love them some creationism. Or, I'm sorry, being against evolution. I'm sorry. I want to thank everyone for joining us out there on the YouTubes.
Help us get through it.
If you're feeling fancy, don't forget to like, subscribe, or follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Woohoo!
This broadcast sponsored by Gatorade.
Sponsored by Gatorade. Oh my God. Electrolytes? That's what plants crave. All right. We're a skeptic channel, but after my co-hosts and I give our opening statements, we'll be opening up the floodgates. It'd be like this technically. Or rather, the open mic, meaning anyone can come join us and say what's on their mind. We'll also give anyone the chance to have their own opening or closing statements, atheist or theist, liberal or conservative, come as you are, just on the sheets. You can also find our Patreon at patreon.com/Amy Newman, which helps us make even more content, including awesome Patreons like K.O. Champ, but also Odds from the Atheist Network Group and Roundtable.
Our favorite fodder.
But also, Ian Davenport.
Thanks, Ian.
Thank you so much, Ian. And I'm trying to get fun things for everyone. I think princesses. This is like a good one. Thank you so much, Diana.
Thank you, Diana.
Thank you, Diana Smith. But a grumpy old. You guys heard that, right? A grumpy old. Thank you so much, grumpy old cuss. Maybe Moonlight wants to be part of the show. But also, we are opening up the Bible and saying, thank you so much, Pat, and sending love to Pat Lowinger. But also, Dale, I need like all sorts of fun things. I don't know. This seems a little random. Dale, I'm just going to go back to pipe. Thank you, Dale.
I'm sure you have plenty of fun things in there.
Oh, there is enough things in there to make Carrot Top have, let's just say, get a hard on. And Dave Garr, thank you so much, Dave Garr.
Thank you, Dave.
Woohoo! And finally, thank you so very much. I'm trying to think. I was just going to give a heart. I'm going to go with a Minecraft. We're going to go with Minecraft. Why not? Thank you so much, Scott. So sending love to Scott Duke. Lastly, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that all button icon so you can get reminders to see our premieres and join our live stream. And okay, they want before I give.
He wants to look outside.
They're looking outside anyway. They found out. See, I would say they evolved, but they are sentient creatures. It's amazing. Okay, and we're moving on. I'm using
Gavin stole my pants.
Evolution on trial, which is an odd phrase since we're not in the 18th century. Evolution means that genes randomly mutate, and the environment naturally selects for them, which is the cornerstone of modern biology. In fact, evolution, or genes randomly mutating and the environment naturally selecting them, happens all the time. Evolution helps us understand our history, like where we come from in the animal tree, but also gives us a roadmap for how to fight against viruses. It's why we have to create new vaccines for every new deadly thing that wants to kill us. We have a detailed fossil record that has built a deep level of taxonomy for how we are related to other species. The human genome, among others, has been explored. So we understand evolution down to the DNA. However, the one thing creationists don't want to offer is evidence for creation. Among the many attempts to talk about the current edge of science, like quote unquote before the Big Bang or Abiogenesis, they never seem to want to deal with the fact that evolution is a natural phenomena in the same way that gravity is. A working and testable theory or framework of facts. Thus, if they want to disprove evolution, or rather put it in the hot seat, they're going to need to buckle up and submit papers of their own. Debates are fun, and you can give your own opinion all you want. However, if someone is going to overturn all of biology, I'm going to need a mechanism. How does this creator create? How do they make each separate species? Is this replicatable? I think we have the wrong subject in the hot seat. It's not evolution. Thank you. Woohoo! So, how are you tonight, James? And are you ready to evolve into some fun?
Do it to me, baby.
Sell me a quality muffler at a reasonable price.
Yeah, so ready to evolve. So I got to watch a good part of the debate, not quite the whole thing because I was working during part of it, but I was actually impressed. I thought Marshall did a pretty good job coming in, being that this was his first real debate, and he's never been on there before, but he did present a lot of good cases. I think he won the debate. But just conceptualizing this debate right now, when you're trying to get a survey of the battlefield. And so I want you to imagine like a battlefield map. And on this map, there's like, I don't know, say 50 points, like 50 places you could go. And God is the enemy. And you've got God on the run. He's going from here. He's going to there. He's looking for any place he can be to hide inside of the gaps of human knowledge. And sure enough, when you find him hiding in one spot where he doesn't belong there, you go there and you get rid of him. But you can't just go right back to the same place he was before because he just got thrown out of there. No, he goes somewhere else. And then he gets thrown out of there. And then he goes somewhere else. But it's all the same points. So they can't go right back to the one that was just disproven, even though all their talking points have been disproved on every level multiple times. Once one is done like that, being totally disproven, they can't use that one right away because, hey, that's still fresh in people's memory. But they will go back to the same talking points from maybe 6 months, 8 months ago, as if they were never debunked, which they totally were. And this stems from what I think is a huge driving force among Christians, and in particular young earth Christians, is they want somebody like Standing for Truth or John Maddox to make them believe in this stuff, or to convince them enough that they believe in it. They don't have to contemplate things like their own mortality or things like that. They don't want to think about it. So, look, Standing for Truth. If I buy your stuff, will you make it so I don't have to think I'm going to die one day? Yeah, sure. I could do that. Hey, it's not true, but that's not the point of it. The point is, people don't want to consider, they don't want to contemplate things that often make people uncomfortable. A lot of people are just very uncomfortable that there's not a arbitrary, overarching purpose of life handed down by a deity somewhere, that we have to forge ahead and try to make our own purpose, find our own meaning in life. And that's very uncomfortable for a lot of people, because a lot of people just can't, they don't have that ability. They can't forge that meaning for themselves. And I understand that can be tough, but that is, I think, one of the driving forces that keeps people in these religions. And they get away with it because, the people that their audience is not, they're not super interested in the truth. They just want to make it sound really good. If it sounds convincing, that's really the most important thing. So if you took a professional mathematician and you took another guy who doesn't know anything about math, maybe basic high school level math, and you give them a test, and you give it to somebody who also doesn't know very much about math, they might have a hard time determining which person actually knows more math, because you don't understand it all. But to somebody who does know math, to somebody who is also a mathematician or a professor, it would be very easy for them to look at it and say, okay, this test makes a lot more sense than that one. Which guy knows more about math? You got to ask the experts, and that they get uncomfortable about that, because they try to throw the argument from authority fallacy. And it's only a fallacy if that's all you hang your hat on, is, well, I'm just going to go with whatever they say because they're an authority. That would be a fallacy, but it doesn't mean you can't give consideration to people who do know what they're talking about, to people who do know more than you. And so if you took, I don't know, let's say one of our good buddy John, and you had him give a lecture on physics, and then you had Neil deGrasse Tyson give a lecture on physics, but to like 7-year-olds, would they really be able to tell which guy is the real physicist and which guy is not a physicist but plays one on YouTube? Most of them probably wouldn't, because they don't really understand a whole lot of it anyway. It would be just a matter of which person they identify more with, which person they like more, who's the funniest. But science doesn't care about all that. They don't care about presentation. They don't care about whose stuff looks better, sounds better. They just want the truth, what actually works. And that's what we're after. What is actually true? Even if it makes you uncomfortable, even if you would prefer that the truth be something else, and you might, but you still have to be an adult about it and accept things the way that they are, not the way that you wish they could be. Thank you, Amy. Quantum Amy.
Oh, doubled me again. Thank you so very much, James. And all right, with that, we are going to open it up into the open mic portion of the podcast. We are midnight ranting on evolution on trial, either about tonight's debate or just the subject in general. Come on and have a good time. I'm going to be sending the link into chat. And in the meantime, before I get into comments in the debate, just to talk about something you said, I'll start off with a common point where you were trying to say, make it sound good. I often think that the atheist and the theist, or the skeptic and the non-skeptic, in my opinion, have two different goals.
Right.
One is to sound technical. The other is to convey information. And those are just two very different goals. Because when you want to convey information, you actually don't want to sound technical. You want to actually be able to try and break things down into simple concepts so that people can understand them.
Right. Now, if you're just using hyper-technical jargon that most of the people don't understand, you're not trying to convey information. You're just trying to put yourself as an expert, to make yourself look like you know more about the subject than you probably actually do. And you see real scientists, you see real people who are looking for the truth. They will tell you all the time. Like someone like Erica Gutsick Gibbon, if there's something that strays away from her primary fields, she'll talk about it, but she's going to make sure to say that this is not really my main expertise. I'm just going to give you my opinion on it, but you might want to do some more research on it. You might want to ask a paleontologist. You might want to ask a physicist about that, because that's not my main focus.
In fact, you will often feel experts feel uncomfortable.
Right.
You will notice their uncomfortability when they move out of their expertise.
Yeah.
That's why they will often note it, which is what you should do.
Because no one wants that. Everything's recorded now. Everything's recorded now, so you don't want a audio clip of you saying something that's just plain wrong circulating out there on the internet. So you want to put out there that it's not really your main expertise. You might give an opinion on it, but you're not staking your reputation on it.
Exactly. And okay, I'm going to read just a few comments. I haven't. I'm working on getting them up back on the screen without breaking our fabulous new overlays. But Patrick says, hello, Amy New Ranting is tied for the title of my all-time favorite YouTube channel. Thank you so very much, Patrick. And he also says, evolution on trial, more like crackpots taking shots and missing. Woohoo! And I'm going to be reading your comments. If you want to see your specific comments read on screen, feel free to tag me at AB Newman. Whether we are on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. Mike Bio says, Amy Newman, hi, or is she always like this on live stream? I'm just like this, but it's a good combo. I need to focus.
Have you ever been diagnosed with ADD?
Wait. I think I have. Oh my God. Not this god, a different one, in Mesopotamia. And okay, I'm gonna read more comments, but let's bring us. Is your body ready, James?
Let me check. Gavin stole my pants, so I'm a little. Yeah.
It happens. It does happen to the best of us.
Yeah. You better
but
run,
that's okay.
or he'll steal your pants. You better hide your pants.
Oh my! It's like a new mythology. And okay, we're switching into our open mic. Do 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 do. Flum. We have been midnight ranting on putting evolution in the hot seat. Oh, I hope it doesn't burn.
On the mercy seat.
On the mercy seat. But I hope you are doing well. And what are your thoughts on either the debate or the subject itself? I agree. Completely agree.
Hello.
Oh, that's okay. We may have put Flum in when he was like, guys, I was getting a snack. You're going to do this to me now? That's okay. Flum will put you right back in. We are going to add Ogre. We have been midnight ranting on putting evolution in the hot seat. I hope you're doing well. And what are your thoughts about the debate or the subject itself?
Did Nephilimfree win you over this time? Did he finally convince you?
Is it us? I'm starting to
Hello?
think.
Hello?
Oh, no.
Hey,
We can
Ogre.
hear you.
Hey, I'm sorry about that. That was
No,
me.
you're
tonight?
good. How are you?
Oh, doing it halfway through a case of beer, so now I'm having a good time.
Woohoo!
You needed to get through creationism like that. You know, trying
Oh.
to get through a debate like with Nephilimfree sober is kind of taxing.
Oh, it's so bad. It's like physically painful, you know? You don't expect the internet to touch you physically, but it does in the worst ways.
Absolutely. Anything
Yeah,
stick out to you?
I only
from the
watched
debate?
I only watched a little bit of the debate, but once I heard Neff's talking points that he always goes back to, like
Same
I know
bullshit.
exactly what he's gonna say. I'm not gonna learn anything new. It's just pathetic, you know.
Ring around the rosy
Yeah.
with Nephilimfree.
Yeah, even his responses are all canned. It's like talking to a chat bot. It's
You could do like what Peter does with Dart Dawkins. You could make a board of him, and you could debate somebody with just clips, and they would never know that it wasn't the
world's
real
shittiest
Nephilimfree.
board game, right? I agree.
Yeah, I mean, you know, what? Shh.
It's like
What's
whack-a-mole.
Whack-a-mole. Oh, like Ken Hovind, yeah, his whack an atheist thing.
Oh
All right.
God, yeah.
So,
And
do we have more
Oh.
people in the back, Amy?
we have a whole bunch of people.
Oh,
but
Yeah, move on from me. I don't have a whole lot to contribute, but I got things to say once everyone said their piece. So,
All right, pass me a
Woohoo,
beer.
and we always love having you on, especially
Thank
when
you,
it has
Ogre,
to do with anything basically, I would say physics related, but even
Science.
just biology, chemistry, just STEM. So just like, and let's see his Flum, that's okay. Welcome back, Flum. We are midnight ranting on putting evolution on the hot seat. Oh my goddess. Once again, hopefully it doesn't burn. I hope you're doing well. And what are your thoughts about the debate or just the subject in general?
Hi, Amy, and hi, James.
Hey, welcome to the channel. How you doing?
I've been here before, and it was a lovely debate. I really enjoyed it. But Nephilim, if he only lives in a 6,000-year-old world, how do you have enough time?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know how star formation or anything.
I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get how you live in that.
It's a good question.
It's a mystery to me. If you have millions of years, things make sense. If you only have 6,000 times, it doesn't make sense.
Well, that's like what I was saying with Oz the other day. It's like, especially with these young earthers, they have to do so much work. They literally have to go point by point through every field of science and come up with loopholes or workarounds, and they have to modify everything just to make it fit with their Bible. We don't have to do any of that. We can just go out and see what actually happens, and if it lines up with the Bible, okay, it lines up with the Bible. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. They have to try to force the natural world into that Bible, and it just doesn't work.
That's why I like science.
Yeah. Hey, if the Bible gets something right, it gets something right. A broken clock can still be right twice a day. But yeah.
And woohoo! Thank you so very much, Flum. And I have actually some points that we can discuss once that we get everybody in. But Leophilius, we have been midnight ranting on putting evolution in the hot seat. Oh my! Hopefully, no one burns their hand. And how are you doing? And what are your thoughts about the debate? No, it's because it's the hot seat. That's what happens when we put people.
It looks like he's making a heave offering.
Ooh, that was a good shout out
Alrighty.
to our skeptic Bible study. But yes, Leo, the debate or the subject in self, sometimes we say thirdly on tacos, but generally speaking, the first two.
So
Or on Nephilimfree.
I've known Nephilimfree for 6 years, and I did not watch tonight's debate. Looking back, I wish I would have, because it seems evident that from what I've heard, that Marshall performed exceptionally well against Nephilim. It's very hard for me to listen to him, because in the 6 years that I have known him, absolutely nothing about him has changed. And I debated him later last year in October, and Aaron, who's known him for 12 years, said exactly the same thing. So that's what I would have to say about Nephilim and about particularly the debate. As it concerns the topic, evolution has already been put on trial, much like special relativity or general relativity, much like quantum field theory or classical electromagnetism. It's been tried and tested in thousands of ways, in thousands of different experiments, by thousands of different people, with thousands of different variables accounted for over the course of a century plus. This concept of evolution being on trial is something you see amongst a very, very, very small subset of creationists online. This isn't a debate you find anywhere in academia for obvious reasons. The thing is that integrated synthesis, which is where contemporary evolutionary theory stands in terms of not just things like natural selection, but genetics, genomics, just an innumerable number of different factors that we've discovered over the years that play into what we see and help us explain the observations that we make, which is another thing about evolutionary theory, is that evolutionary theory makes predictions, and these predictions we have confirmed. Almost all of the predictions that theory makes have been confirmed. It explains the observations that we make. It comports with reality. Creationism, particularly young Earth creationism, just doesn't have to overcome evolution, number one. They have to overcome biology, genetics, physics, chemistry, cosmology, geology, and pretty much every subject within the hard sciences as well.
Yeah.
It seems to be the case that what we observe about our reality and our place within it simply does not comport with the kind of reality that young Earth creationists claim that we should be seeing. And for this reason, it is not a worldview I think anyone should be adhering to. And that's all I have to say.
Raw men.
Woohoo! Raw men. Exactly. I just want to make the one point that I would that Leo kind of touched on, and then we'll move into a rational empiricist, is just that, this really isn't an academic debate. I like debating this type of subjects. We're in a debate community, so I'm not complaining. I love it. But that being said, the creationists, I think, often forget that, you could convince everyone on YouTube. That would not change anyone's feelings inside.
Can I make a final point really quickly?
Go ahead.
Sure.
That is that even if somebody, regardless of what their beliefs were, showed that evolution was not true, that does not make creationism true.
Yep.
You can't just show that the opposing model is wrong. You have to show why your model is right over and above the opposing models. And creationism simply has not done that.
But I mean, if any of them could come up with any hard evidence that would undermine evolution, they would be famous overnight. They would be Nobel Prize winners, because we'd have to redo all these fields of science because of something they found out. But they don't do it.
And they'd be talking about empirical evidence, not crapping on empirical methodologies every chance and trying to escape empirical methodologies every chance. But okay, we'll talk about that in the open conversation. But a rational empiricist, we are midnight ranting.
That sounds like a Jehovah's sock account.
Oh, we gotta buy my DVD, please. I just released a new DVD. In fact, drtyler.com. It's a good one. You're gonna get a sip of water. And okay, a rational empiricist. We are midnight ranting on putting evolution on the hot seat, either the debate or the topic itself. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I didn't see the entire debate, unfortunately. I kind of just skimmed through it. And saw most of, or I hope most of Neff's major talking points, which, like Leo said, are not anything new. They're the standard talking points. For example, the thing that I want to harp on most when we get into the main discussion was basically everything that Neff says on phylogenetics is pretty much wrong. Because like the standard talking points, for instance, it's all about similarity, there are incongruencies, specific
I need
genes
to let
that line
everybody
up.
know that the person talking right now is the Nephilim Whisperer. This guy, I don't know how, I don't know why, but he goes and he has discussions with Nephilim. So, like, listen to what he's saying. I'm sorry.
Thanks,
Continue.
Leo. That's okay. Yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say for now. That's what I wanted to discuss tonight, pretty much.
Well, thanks for coming on. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Irrational Empiricist. And we'll go into open conversation with just one more person. Brainbug, we are midnight ranting, putting evolution in the hot seat. I hope you're doing well. And what are your thoughts about either the debate or just the topic itself? Oh,
No
woo!
sound.
I am muted.
No sound, but I love
here
the
now.
Buggy on your microphone. Hi, Buggy.
Yeah, she's
God was
she's
trying to
being-
shut him down.
Yeah, he's out to get me. Again, just to reiterate what everybody else has said about Neff, as far as I've listened to him, he's been making the same arguments for over a decade. He doesn't understand that evolution is a process that takes place within a population, and there's multiple pools to pull information from, and that we see it not only over a temporal framework, but over a geographic one as well. So we can look at geography and how genetics change over an area, and we can infer that to a temporal time frame too, based on other information about the migration of the species, for instance. They have this concept of evolution as what I pass on to, each generation, and it just doesn't work that way. It's what the general population trends towards. And I could go on and on about that, but that's my overarching appeal to Neff's entire persona and argument that he put out there altogether.
Woohoo! Thank you so very much, Brainbug, and thank you very much to the lovely praying mantis.
Is that a female or a male?
It's a female. The male would have wings. I did have a male. Unfortunately, I think these were from the same.
They tend to eat them, don't they?
What's that?
The females tend to eat the males after.
In captivity, yeah, because the males can't escape, and the female right after she breeds, she's immediately going to look for the next source of nutrients and protein to help develop her ootheca, and he's right there. And if he can't get out of the enclosure, then he's just prey at that point.
It's a snack there.
I actually have two ghost mantises here together. I don't know how well they're going to show up on camera, because they hide really good. They look like leaves. But you can see that one right there. There's the males down here, and then the females up here. And they just mated a couple days ago. I posted some pictures on Twitter, but they've been together ever since. Because ghost mantises, P. paradoxa, are one of the few species that can be generally kept communally, and it's because they live on a kind of an open area where the rainforest meets the savanna, like the bushland, and they get feast and famine in their environment. So sometimes they may be isolated to a single sustainable plant environment. The whole ecological region, they might be compressed down to that area due to drought. So them having that natural affinity towards not being predatory towards each other is beneficial for the propagation of the species, where generally it would be a situation of competition. It's really preservation at that point in that kind of environment.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for that,
so very much,
fun
Rainbug.
lesson. Always good to learn something else, you know?
I was just thank you so very much for that little dance lesson.
Yeah.
But okay, we are going to add in Immutable Destiny. Immutable. We are midnight ranting on putting evolution in the hot seat, in trial. What are your thoughts about either the debate or about just the subject itself? Sometimes about tacos, but mostly the first two.
Hey, everybody loves tacos, but I guess if we're trying to burn evolution, you're going to have to do it using dry ice. I mean, it becomes such a cold case that eventually you get hot trying to make the case. But yeah, I didn't see the debate, but the beautiful thing about evolution is a lot of times the people that go after it will rely on quote mining as a primary technique for trying to discredit the fields of evolution that have contributed to it over its years. I mean, Darwin made a statement that really rings true to this day: endless forms most beautiful. And it is, it's before the theory of evolution was adopted. It was a very interesting question about how species, came to be and things like that. And what's also so beautiful about evolution as a theory is it combines multiple branches of science, which otherwise make evolution incomplete. There's molecular aspects of evolution. There's like ecological aspects of evolution, which brain bug can point you to. There's also physical, in physics that's involved with evolution as well. Be that terraforming and geologic processes that occur, but also events that have occurred astronomically, such as like the KT extinction event and things of that nature. So I forget when it was brought up, but to put it lightly, evolution is supported by the entire scientific community, 99.98%. And it's not to say that evolution can't be falsified as a theory. If it can't be falsified as a theory, it has no value. But I don't think many people that I've interacted with have been able to do that in a substantive way.
No, definitely not.
And it seems to be confirmed by multiple different sciences, and they also ask a range of questions. Creationists go kind of crazy. They go all kind of trying to almost seems like build a conspiracy map, in my opinion, sometimes. But I never understand how they answer questions that they themselves posit. They're like, well, how do all these species get here? Just staying on evolution. And it's like, well, how did God actually make each separate species? But then they pose it crazy. They go out. They say, well, abiogenesis. Doesn't that seem crazy? Or we rock soup. And it's like, okay, but cool. Keep that in mind. How did God exactly make us? They're like, yeah, mysterious ways. And then the same thing with just the Big Bang, or quote unquote before the Big Bang.
Magic, Newman, MAGIC. What does that spell?
Magic or bullshit, depending on your perspective.
You can do magic. You can have anything that you desire. Magic.
Don't make me bring up the whole I believe in miracles meme.
And apparently they do. Even though what are you gonna say?
No, I'm just going to say really quickly, me and Immutable are here to spice up the stream with a little song and dance.
Hey, somebody's got to make this. Somebody's got to make the stream classy, and I don't mind being one person.
Yes, exactly.
And I'll say one last thing before Bird, we get him in
Bird
here.
Is
my favorite. Bird is the word.
Knows about the bird. Bird.
Bird is the word.
I'll stop. I promise I'll stop.
I'll stop.
But my favorite thing is listening to them in which I feel like really gets under their skin, specific phrases. Like Kent Hovind says, it's a religion. And Neff will be like, it's a myth. And I just feel like they're very some very telling sentences every once in a while, and just choice words and insults that are like, oh, I get it now. They are
You know,
This is what they feel.
It's
that's
projection.
always
Like,
I've
you
always
called
seen
it
that
art
as an
on
incons. You know, here's the thing, and I've noticed people make this point, and I agree with it. Right? Calling it a religion, like as being a pejorative, shouldn't be a bad thing because Christianity is a religion, right? And they want people to come to their religion, right? If you're
It's
saying
a
like
relationship
evolution,
with God.
I know, but they're saying it's like, oh, it's a religion, but that shouldn't be a bad thing. Like,
And that's why I love it. That's basically my normal comeback whenever they ever say,
But-
it's a religion. I say, look, I'm just appreciate the fact that you are using the word religion in a negative sense.
Well,
We're just on.
You silly.
I don't think it's so
Our
much to
religion's
use.
right.
Yeah.
I don't think it's so much to use religion in a negative sense as much as it is to try to put, these scientific models on par with their religion that has no real empirical evidence to back it up at all. They're trying to put it on par with that by saying that it's a religion in the sense that just like us, you don't have any real empirical data to back up what you're saying, which is obviously
agree.
false.
I agree. That's what they're doing. It's just at least in my head, I'm just glad that Neff is going around saying, "Gosh, we shouldn't believe in myths." So I know they're trying to say like, "Look, evolution is the myth, not us." But
Listen, you
it's
guys
just
got-
great to see.
Got magic.
Got magic, baby. And okay, we are going to add in bird is the word. We have been midnight ranting and putting evolution in the hot seat and on trial. What are your thoughts about the debate or just the subject in general?
Bird, straight out of Revelation. Come to our stream.
Hey everybody, my name's Bird. Yeah, so I believe in creation now. So it's pretty nice, and I really appreciate Nephilim's words, and I appreciate everything he's doing for our community. Thanks.
I'm convinced.
I've seen the light.
Yeah.
By the way, I just wanted to say quickly, Nephilimfree just asked for a link to join. I threw it for him in the side chat, so if there is a spot open, I would leave it open for him since he was one of the participants of the debate.
Sure. Yeah, so we're going to add sunflower, but then the full, give me 1 second. 1 second, Neff, and I will send you the link into chat. And
I already gave him a link.
Oh, see,
Yep.
and this is why I would say pay our bods in love, in love.
Yeah.
Love.
You guys pay me very well, very, very well.
And okay,
you can have an unlimited supply of empty beer cans.
There will be no calls from the working union this week.
And sunflower, we have been midnight ranting.
I'm a sunflower.
Putting evolution in the hot seat. I hope you are doing well. And what is your thoughts about the debate or just the subject itself?
You a sunflower.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I mean, let me start off by saying that I don't dispute evolution in general, but what I do think a lot of people overlook is that it's ultimately inconsequential to like almost everybody that exists. And here's what I mean by that. Let me clarify. Like most people's goals don't actually depend on whether or not an intelligent life source or some sort of intelligence at some point kind of put the ball in motion or it didn't. So
I agree.
So yeah. So let me just start off by saying, if someone is latching onto evolution or even possibly intelligent design, it goes both ways. I'm trying to be fair here. If they're latching onto this, with no, even though like all other aspects of their life, like their personal goals, their projects, their family, their career, have nothing to do with it, it's probably because they have some kind of insecurity or something that they're trying to prove by sort of proving the other side wrong. And I see this on both sides, but it's like, I really don't see it as that important of a of an idea. It's the people that are hung up on the fact that it had to have been one way or had to have been the other that I think are showing something more deeply personal about themselves than anyone else. So that's what I'll say.
And thank you so very much, Sunflower. And okay, we got 2 more backstage, and then we are just going to go into open discussion. We got Randolph and then Nephilimfree. We're going to have a good time tonight. Randolph.
Oh, yeah.
We are midnight ranting and putting evolution on trial and in the hot seat. I hope you're doing well. And what are your thoughts about the debate or just the topic in general?
Uh-oh.
Okay. Not sure what happened there.
It's a wild card.
Yeah, wild card. Yeah, that describes it well. Which, as I understand, wild cards can be a part of evolution as well. I'm studying the science on this one. Evolution is clearly winner by default, I would say. Science just seems to be showing us more and more about it. It's not just considered to be a fact, but it's a collection of facts as a theory, which, as I understand, is an even higher bar to reach than just being a mere fact. So I think anybody who can find some way to successfully debunk evolution overall should go and get their Nobel Prize as soon as possible.
I'll hold my breath.
I suggest not, because
yeah, I know. I know.
Cheers to evolution and to everyone.
And okay, guys, we are going to.
Mate.
I'm going to add in Nephilimfree, and he's going to be number 10. So we're going to let Nephilim do his opener, and then once he's done his opener, we're going to switch it into the open conversation format. So thank you so very much, Randolph and Nephilimfree. Welcome to the channel. We are Midnight Ranting. I'm
not as good at this as you, Amy, but you know.
Oh no, hey, Randolph. All hearts are welcome here. Let me tell. And we are Midnight Ranting and putting evolution on trial into the hot seat. I hope you're doing good tonight. And what are your thoughts about the debate or just the topic itself?
Oh,
hello. Am I in?
You're coming
yes,
in
you
hot.
are. How are we doing, Neffy? No picture, but we can hear you.
Okay, I don't see my icon on the screen or anything.
I don't either, but you're coming in loud and clear.
It's a StreamYard thing. StreamYard's weird about that sometimes.
Oh yeah, you'll need to upload it to Stream.
Doesn't work that way for me. I don't know. So anyway, hello.
Hi.
I hope you guys are having a great weekend.
Yes. Yeah, going so far.
It's been great for me. I don't know why people believe in evolution unless they need to because of their religious worldview. And I do believe atheism is a religion. The definition of religion doesn't require a deity. You know, there's more than one definition for words. And the definition of religion allows for religion to be a belief system that is institutionalized that doesn't require a deity, a set of institutionalized beliefs. And so I would say atheism qualifies as religion under the definition of religion in the Webster's Dictionary. So I think evolution is a religious belief. It's held to with an ardent paradigm, and I think it's completely in contrary to modern biological science. I'd say it's a 19th century myth that was formed in a time when man knew nothing about biology, and I mean nothing. In 1840s. Charles Darwin actually wrote his ideas about evolution in 1848 and then published in 1859. So in 1848, they knew absolutely beans about biology. What we've discovered since then is just absolutely astonishing. And I think all biological science points to creation. When asked to provide actual scientific evidence for evolution, evolutionists jump from one subject to another as fast as they can, attempting to make one claim after another and run from every single one of them. Like, for example, when I asked my opponent in my debate, what's the scientific evidence that accruing mutation build structural designs, which is a necessity if evolution is true, so you can explain the various, anatomies of all the living things, because that's what evolution claims to have done, right? He says, well, I don't know. So, I mean, if you're telling me it happened, but you don't know of any science that demonstrates that, and I would say no scientist has ever published such evidence of such a thing. So that demonstrates the religiosity of evolution. That it's a philosophy, but it's not science. That would be my rant, my opening rant.
Oh, reasonably timed. Surprise.
Oh, well, there we go. I have a few questions about that. Nephilim, do you happen to know when the theory of gravity by Newton was first developed?
Theory of gravity doesn't have anything with biological evolution.
No, I'm just curious because you
not
might
interested.
know that. No, Nephilim, I'm curious because
Not
the theory of gravity was published like 300 years before evolutionary theory was developed, and that's still correct to this day.
To the
So what's
subject in my debate? Not interested.
right? What exactly does age have to do with the validity of a theory? Exactly? Can you
Doesn't
lay
have
that
any-
out for me?
Doesn't wear.
That was one of your critiques, Nephilim.
And so I just
No,
want to say,
I
just
didn't
going to butt
mention
out really
gravity in my
quickly.
debate.
We're
Sorry.
now going to go into the open conversation. Thank you guys, and you guys are good to
Yeah, Nephilim, one of your opening comments was that the age of evolution and biologists knowing nothing about evolution when it was developed in the 1870s was one of the reasons why it was incorrect. Okay, can you expand on that further?
Sure. Isn't it true that scientists had virtually no understanding of biology at all in 1848? Isn't that true?
No, not at all. Because what we
Wow,
understood
you're
is that
completely
other
uninformed.
species.
We
what
actually
we
have a
understood.
robust understanding. Oh, sorry.
Next.
Sorry,
And
Nephilim. You asked me a question. I'm going to
also
answer that
called-
question. What we understood about species and organisms at that time is that species had gone extinct.
That's not biology. That's,
So are the study of species fall under the purview of biology, Nephilim?
Do you know what biology is?
Do you know what a species is, Nephilim?
I'm sorry.
Because
you
a species is a biological
failed.
concept.
You don't seem to understand what biology is.
Do you understand
Next.
what a species is?
Next.
So, Nephilimfree, when you talk about believing in evolution, I don't believe evolution. I accept it as a set of facts.
Well, that means you believe it.
It also, well,
because I mean, knowledge is justified.
Sure,
True
if you want to
belief.
get really
So,
technical.
if
But
you
I'll
accept
talk,
evolution, you
please.
believe it. It's
And the
it's
point
true.
with
Well, wait a second. Wait a second. If something
The
is
other
the
point-
best explanation, but it's not more likely than not,
But because
that
it's
a
a
belief?
fact, I don't have to go out of my way to use a faith-based system to believe it. And
Well, that's
so-
just a faith statement right there.
Well, no, it's not.
Demonstrating it's a fact.
Nephilim,
you're not going to be able to do.
Nephilim, please prove that it's false if you're so confident.
That's
in that
not what
statement.
you're going to be able to do. When you say that evolution is a fact, you won't be able to demonstrate that. That's where you fail.
What?
Wait,
what
hold on,
aspect
hold on,
of
hold on, hold on,
evolution-
Nephilim.
Hold on.
Nephilim. Just one really quick question, Nephilim. When you say
So-
fact, can
so
you define what you
let
mean
me-
by that?
Yeah, that's a great point. So let's address that. What would need to be demonstrated as factual for evolution to be true?
That wasn't
Sure, I can answer that
Well,
question.
no, that doesn't answer my question.
No,
What do you
no,
when you say
that's the
factual? What do you
basis of
mean?
your-
What is a fact? Define what
no,
a fact is.
I'm not going to play rabbit hole stuff. Okay.
Well, this isn't rabbit
Leo,
holes.
so
I can't prove that
what
something
would
is a
be-
fact if I don't know
when you
what
say
you
it's
mean
a
when you
fact?
say fact.
Leo,
Well,
let's
then
not
you
get
don't
into
know.
meta.
So when you say you don't know
Well,
what's
it's
a
not
fact,
meta.
then your statement that evolution is a fact is bogus. You just failed.
That's
Now,
not-
Let us know what
Okay.
fact means to you.
Next.
Leo.
I mean, we're literally talking about the word
Who's
fact,
next?
and nobody's defined the word, and that's a
Who's-
fucking problem. I'm sorry.
Who's next? Who's next?
Nephilim, let's
So
let's stick to
define
your-
the word.
This is too
Let's-
easy, guys.
Nephilim,
Next. Sorry.
let's stick to your point. What is it that evolution claims
Oh my
to?
God, that's the worst fail I've ever seen. In
There's a part two that I wanted to quickly mention to
so-
Nephilim to point out.
Wow.
Atheism does not qualify as a religion, but let's go back to evolution.
Okay,
Well, it
but
does according to
hold
the
on,
definition
hold on,
in the
hold on, hold on.
Webster's Dictionary.
One point at a time. Nephilim, What is the claim of evolution as a
What is-
scientific theory?
What is the fact of evolution? I asked you that question.
What
you
is
didn't
what is the
answer it.
fact of evolutionary
Okay.
theory?
What do you mean when you say fact?
Here, I will
Fail
tell
next.
you. I
Next.
will tell you what the fact of evolutionary theory
See,
is.
here
unless
we
you don't
go.
want.
Evolution is jumping from one
Are you
subject
gonna-
to another.
No,
Are you going to let Immutable
refusing
answer
to
Nephilim,
you?
answer
are you
any
going
of the
to let
things
me?
that they say.
Nephilim.
See,
I think we need a little bit of moderation here.
Nephilim.
I definitely think we
I
need some
told
moderation
you this
here.
would happen before I
Nephilim.
came in.
Nephilim. I'm not done
I told
talking. Nephilim.
I asked you a
Nephilim.
question. You
I'm
haven't
about to
answered
answer
it.
the
Let
question
him
if you let me
answer.
talk.
What are the
The
facts?
fact of evolution is that change in allelic frequencies in successive populations occurs.
Yes.
That is the fact of evolution.
How does that
That
mean
is all.
evolution is true, though?
That is what
This is what
evolution
it's
is
based on.
defined
How
as.
does how do
Evolution
changes
consists
Evolution-
in allelic
one at a
frequency.
time. One at a time, please.
How does
who
that
is it
validate
that I'm
evolution?
speaking? Who is it
It's
I'm
immutable.
speaking with? First off, which one
Immutable.
of you? Okay, immutable. All right, if everybody could just chill for a second. Okay, so immutable, you say changes to allele frequency in populations occurs, therefore evolution.
Yes.
Okay, so what is it about changes to allele frequency in populations that causes evolutionary change? If your statement is
Right. So what about that causes evolution is when you have change in
evolutionary
I'm
change.
trying to answer that question,
Yeah.
Nephilim. Can I answer the question? What changes in allelic frequencies causes in evolution is over the course of reproduction and the course of a species development and change over time. Changes in allelic frequency can cause changes to how organisms develop, right? This has been shown in evolutionary development studies where if you deactivate a specific gene of interest, it will cause certain organ structures and certain limb structures to change over the course of development. When these processes occur, right, especially over the course of generations, what it causes is it causes the daughter population to become so distinct from the parent population that they can no longer interbreed, thus becoming a new species and thus giving form to a new species, which is
Excellent.
exactly what evolution predicts.
Okay, so the inability to breed, this boils down to the inability of two populations to breed. How does that change the structural design of the organism in such a way that we can say that it's moving towards becoming a fundamentally different type of organism? Because you do understand, I hope you understand and comprehend. Let me finish, please. I hope you understand and comprehend that evolution portends to explain the arrival of structural designs so that you get a bat where a bat didn't exist from a rat type creature, right? And that you get, wings come into being from legs, right? This kind of thing. And organs develop, and et cetera. Evolution is a theory of origins, is it not? Origins of anatomical feet. Okay, you just failed evolution. Next.
No, Nephilim.
Okay, no, he just
what
denied
evolution? Evolution, Nephilim.
Next, please.
If you're
I'm
going
not
to ask
interested
me
in
about
talking to you anymore,
Nephilim, if you're going
because
to ask
you
me
just
about what
denied
evolution
theory. No, I'm sorry, I won't talk to you anymore.
If you're
Can
going to
someone
ask,
else go
hold
immutable?
on.
Can someone
Next
else talk,
person,
please?
He just denied evolution theory. Just denied all of the basis of evolution
I
theory
just
and
want to
not
get
interested
this.
in talking to
I
him
want to get this
anymore.
out of the way.
Next, please.
One thing.
How about or 343? How about you ask your question?
Yeah, I'm immutable. I get you, but you kind of hit a roadblock. So we got a lot of people probably want to talk to Neff.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify one point, but okay.
Could you wait?
all of
Immutable,
evolution
please.
theory.
Could you wait, please?
Sure, go ahead.
So, Neff, to you, I have 2 points. One, do you have a preferred or a favorite debate that would be like a good summation of your point? And 2, I posted a link from a quick Google search of a paper that reports morphological change due to evolution. It's in the chat. I can post it in the private chat if you want to look at it.
I don't have a favorite debate. However, I think my debate with Dr. Dan Larhammer of Uppsala University was a really good one because he seemed kind of doe-eyed by my arguments, and I thought that was astonishing for a man who's a geneticist at a major European university. I couldn't believe it every time I said something. He's like, duh, huh? What? And I just was befuddled by that. But I don't have a favorite debate. Now, what was the second part to your question? I'm sorry.
The second part was I posted a link from a quick Google search of morphological change due to evolution that's been cataloged in real time by scientists.
Yeah,
So
excellent.
you said there wasn't any. I provided a link if you want to look at it.
Sure. Morphology cannot explain evolution theory, though. This is where evolutionists attempt to muddy the waters and distort science. And they actually intentionally distort their own theory for the purpose of trying to make it look plausible by pointing to morphological change and then extrapolating, expecting you to take the leap of faith in your mind that, boom, well, anatomical change therefore happens because morphological change occurs. And that's fail. That's not so.
Wait, how do you define the difference between the two?
Morphological change isn't the same as anatomical change. Everybody would agree, and evolutionists, scientists even agree, that dogs have morphological difference. You know, a Chihuahua.
How would you define that difference?
I'm trying to. So, a Chihuahua has a different morphology from a Collie, right? No doubt. The form and structure of the dog is different, but the anatomy is exactly the same. There's no anatomical difference between a Collie and a toy poodle. No anatomical difference. They have all the exact same structures of the exact same type of design in the exact same location of their body plan. There's no anatomical.
Yeah, I think we should let him respond.
Let me finish. No anatomical difference. Okay, so morphology doesn't explain evolution. Evolution attempts to explain the anatomical development of features that results in the proboscis of a mosquito and in the olfactory nerve of a dog and in the heart of a giraffe. This is what evolution claims to do to produce the various species, right? You can't point to changes in the shape, color, size, patterns of an organism and say that produces a fundamentally different type of organism with structural designs that don't exist in its antecedent. See, so morphology is inadequate as an explanation of evolution. Evolutionists pretend it's not true, but it is true that anatomical change is what evolution pretends to explain. And unless you have evidence for that, a genetic pathway to it and physiological examples in the fossil record are living on this earth today, there's no evidence for evolution. There's no evidence in the fossil record. There's no evidence in the millions of species that live on this earth today of anatomical change. There's phenotypic plasticity, but there's no evidence of anatomical development. Therefore, no evidence of evolution.
I'm dying here too.
So can we explore the anatomical changes that you're expecting to see? So, I'm
not expecting. That's the claim of evolution theory.
Okay, good.
Can you let somebody
That's
respond?
a claim. That is a claim of evolution. There's going to be anatomical changes within a clade. I'm totally with you there. So, what's your favorite animal, Neff?
I don't know that I have a favorite.
Okay. You like dogs?
Collie, Tri-Collie is my favorite breed of dog.
Bear. Why are you talking like that, Brainbug? Like what? I feel like I'm watching like.
Wait, hold on. What is what you're saying even relevant?
Why is he talking like
what you're saying is not even relevant.
I'm super animated. That's that. If you want to ad hom me right now, that's up to you. But I don't think that's constructive. Sunflower.
We are not going to let this devolve into a dumpster fire now.
Okay, so let's explore so these anatomical changes. So so since we can dissect a bear, a cat, a wolf, and a dog, and we can which anatomical features would you in your anatomical? You're talking about with organ positions, how many limbs it has, how many toes it has. What are your criteria? Now, in science, we generally use dentition, which is the teeth arrangement. That's the most diagnostic way to identify one species group from another. Okay, so what are the features that you're looking for to say this is a new species? That this is a new animal.
I don't think teeth would be it. Evolution can't possibly explain the origin of teeth with random mutation and natural selection. The idea that random mutation would cause the cusps of the upper and lower teeth to match over any amount of time is an absurdity. It's just ridiculous. The natural selection is going to continuously select to modify the cusp.
So you don't believe that
that they're going to match each other is ridiculous because natural selection would simply remove something that doesn't work. And if the cusps didn't match, they didn't work. Natural selection removes it. Natural selection argues against evolution. Evolutionists claim it
No,
supports
it doesn't.
It's actually an argument against evolution.
Can I follow that up with? So you don't believe that we can catalog and differentiate species based solely on the teeth?
I believe that the teeth can be used to show that this is a particular type of organism if you find one in the dirt. Yeah, no, there's truth in that, certainly. But that doesn't mean that teeth arrived by natural selection and random mutation.
So we can tell, like, if we find one tooth in one place and another tooth in another, that they're identical, that they're from the same species.
There is ability to inspect teeth and find that they likely belong to a particular kind of animal. Yes.
Okay, so but you don't believe that that changes in teeth would be an anatomical change? Is that where we're going then?
Right, because the tooth does exist.
So what would be an anatomical change? What type of anatomical?
The arrival of teeth would be an anatomical change.
The arrival of teeth?
Yes.
Okay. And we can
morphology is the change in the shape of teeth.
So
anatomy would be the arrival of teeth. Evolutionists can't explain the arrival of any anatomical feature.
So with teeth, with the genes that cause tooth growth, we can trace that back to our common ancestors with like the cartilaginous fish. It goes back a long time.
Well, that's your
and the teeth of the sharks, actually, the genes that generate that teeth, those teeth are actually modified scales that actually still cover the shark. If you zoom in with a microscope on a shark's skin, it's just made up of just tiny little teeth. You can feel it if you touch one.
Yeah.
And
it's
those
like
genes,
feathers are scales, modified scales too for birds.
Yep.
Well, that's an evolutionist claim that scales modified to become teeth. Have you really ever considered critically that claim? The idea that scales become teeth and embedded in gums? I mean, the change necessary would be astonishing. To believe such a thing, I would say that's an absurdity.
According to what?
After that, we'll let the rational empiricist wants to chime a quick question in after that, Bug. Are you here, rational empiricist?
Oh, sorry, I didn't know if it was my turn.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. So Neff, so basically, you were talking earlier about evolution has to produce fundamentally different kinds or anatomies for organisms, basically.
That's what evolution claims. Yeah.
So then my question is, what do you mean by fundamentally different new?
Well, a mosquito from a non-mosquito would be fundamentally different type of organism.
The most basic way is, can they interbreed? Like, this empiricist. Just be charitable.
A fish from a non-fish would be a fundamentally different type of creature.
Well,
you're asking me to explain your theory to you?
It's a bullshit question.
No, but the funny thing is what Nephilim is saying is fundamentally a violation of the law.
You're asking me to tell you what you believe.
What we're asking of Nephilim,
what an example of failure.
Sorry,
you guys
what we're
continuously
asking
ask a creationist to explain to you what you claim to believe.
Can you let other people
I got to
speak,
use the bathroom. I'll be back in a minute.
Sorry, what we're asking of
it's like, just
Nephilim
make your point. Empiricist, just make your point. Don't go on this whole tirade of, can you explain?
He just started.
Sunflower.
I've heard this line of questioning a million times, and I think that you'll probably actually end
Why
up.
are you here?
No, listen. No, hold on. I think rational empiricists might end up with a hard-hitting point that will maybe expose Nephilim. But just ask it, dude. Like, what is this? What is this weird? Like,
do you not know what the Socratic method is?
You don't need the charade.
I doubt very much
Sunflower. Do you understand the basic principle of conversation that if you don't ask your opponent to define what qualifies as evidence, they can always change their definition of what qualifies as evidence.
Should I Google,
when they are confronted on that?
Okay,
no, definitely not.
I'll answer that. Should I Google quote the basic principle of conversation, see if that comes up?
No, do I need to explain like what basic?
I'm not familiar with the basic principle of conversation.
Do you not
should I read more?
So if evolution is true,
sorry.
Should I read more? I'd like to read more on the basic principle of conversation. If anyone can,
do you not?
Sunflower, can you stop? Like, just
let Nephilim talk.
Seriously?
So if evolution is true,
Neff is a grown man. He can answer the questions how he wants to answer them.
well, I just came back from the restroom. But I have a question. If evolution is true, what reason is there to believe? Now, let's look at this. If evolution were true, because the information in the genome of a living thing prescribes the features and their arrangement in a body plan during fetal development,
what do you mean by that?
It is a package of information that, when expressed, develops the creature during its fetal development and arranges its cell types to create the various features so that when it's born, it's of this design, right? That's what DNA does, right?
No, not quite.
Well, you just failed science. Be quiet.
No, part of what
if
determines
that's
that.
true,
Sorry,
then
I was
random
talking.
genetic mutation.
Sorry, I was talking.
I'm sorry, you just failed biology.
I'm sorry, I was talking. I don't care if you're trying to interrupt me. What part of what determines what a species will become is what type of organism
Okay, guys, have a good evening.
is hosting it.
Neff.
No. The thing is, Nephilim does that when he can't completely dominate a discussion and steamroll over everybody that tries to correct him. He just leaves.
Yeah, that happens.
Well,
I mean,
So-
he didn't
I mean,
longer than I was expecting him to, but
I'm surprised he lasted this long. Honestly.
I was gonna say, is it because I said "come on, guys"? Because I thought that was fairly neutral. But okay.
No, it's because
Nothing you
he
did,
tried to
Amy.
make that point about DNA, and I corrected him on it. He doesn't like that.
Would
And-
everyone mind if-
Okay. Honestly, what have I done that you think is worth me getting?
we're not going to go down that road.
interest
We're not
talking
going to go
about
down
you
that road.
as a right now, Sunflower.
We're not
Yes,
going down
let's
that
in
road.
fact, what we're going to do is we are midnight ranting. We are putting evolution on trial and into the hot seat. We have an open seat right now, including, I just want to say, Nephilimfree, thank you for joining. I thought even though it got heated, it was a good conversation. You're always welcome back. So we're going to send the link back.
Come back anytime.
Thank you.
Call first.
Thank you
Is
so much.
Otangelo still in?
I did find it
Cartoon?
interesting hearing what you had to say.
I would love to talk to you one-on-one, Neff. I'd like to explore some of these ideas that you have.
I'd like to talk to Neff one-on-one as well, but I'm not going to allow him
You
to make
guys
false
really
claims.
don't want to.
I'm just not going to allow him to make blatantly false claims and let him talk over people. So
Well, you get one or the other ID. You
Yeah.
don't get.
I understand that, but I don't
cake
tolerate
and eat it too.
bullcrap, and I don't care if that causes Nephilim to just cry and run.
Welcome to the internet, homie.
I've
just
been
wanna
here for
know-
like 7 years. I don't care.
And I'm trying to just walk a tightrope. I want everyone to feel like they're getting their views expressed and they're not getting muted or anything like that. So hope you had a good time, Neff. I thought it was a good debate. We're going to be talking about it right now. We are midnight ranting on
Thank you,
putting
Randolph.
evolution in the
I
hot
gotta work
seat.
with that.
The link is being sent right back
Ask Amy where
into
she bought the heart
YouTube.
from and order yourself one.
I really hope
Maybe.
Otangelo is still there. He should jump on in here.
Yeah,
And if
that'd
you
be-
would, so link is now in the chat, and I love this. It is a anatomically correct heart, and they can be found on Amazon. I love it. They have a whole different set. I think the heart's probably a good one, but they have lungs and bladders in blushy form.
Wow.
So go check that out.
There we go.
This
Boy,
one's
that's-
And
for
okay.
Orga 343. I hope I'm saying your name.
And I
right.
will say,
Thank
all
you.
of the blushies have funny names, so you should go check them out just for that. They all are like puns.
Leo,
and
did you see
I
Otangelo's
know.
question earlier
I think
asking
Pat-
if I'm an authority
Pat
on
wants to come
evolution?
well, we got
Otangelo is
Pat,
not an
and
authority on anything.
and we got Mark Reed. I know TikTok. I think you were saying you wanted to come in. We're getting he just joined too. We might be switching because we got three. But right
So
now,
when we get full, you can move me out. Last time you went out before.
that's good. It's going to be me and you both, James. We're going to be eating
Yeah.
popcorn. All right. Pat Lowinger, welcome to our Midnight Ranting. We are talking about putting evolution in the hot seat and on trial. What are your thoughts about the debate topic, or the topic itself?
Well, the
Very
topic
powerful
itself,
performance, right, from Neff.
actually, it was you guys put up with this BS a lot longer than I would have. Frankly, again, this is, I guess, we'd rather watch a dumpster fire than actually explore the intricacies of science, and that's why this particular debate on modern day debate is so popular. And the fact that there is no amount of, this is a criticism I have for modern day debate. How do you actually go through and bring credible people on when you have someone like Nephilim on to represent, what amounts to dribble? And, every argument that he makes is not based in science, but he says science is wrong. So again, when you change definitions, you move goalposts, you have a fundamental lack of understanding of the principles of science. You can't debate science. You fling poo. And that's all this was. And it still continues to be. And again, I'm just here to let you know science is real whether you like it or not. And, facts don't care about your feelings. So
when they're flinging stuff
Amen to that.
you could actually call that monkeying around, literally.
Correct.
Yeah.
Is that a Ben Shapiro quote?
And I'd like to add to that too, is that even if you were to explain to Nephilim everything he wanted in terms of like morphological and anatomical development concerning evolution, what he would then do is he would then ask about abiogenesis, because he thinks that abiogenesis and evolution are part of the same study, and they're not.
Well, it's like that debate.
I mean, they're related in an important way, but they're not the same study. Fair enough.
So, I mean, part of what it is that evolution does not need to explain the origin of the first life form, because evolution just explains how life varies.
Yeah.
Abiogenesis itself is a thesis that tries to explain how life originated.
I like to call.
So while they're related, they're not.
But we're not the middle ground.
I like to refer to abiogenesis as the spark of life.
Yeah.
But where do you guys? Okay, if what you just said is true, then how do you guys feel about the idea that there was an intelligently designed original life form that then evolved?
Prove it.
I mean,
we don't have any evidence of that.
I'm not saying that's the case. I'm saying that's like the compatibilist scenario.
No,
what do you mean by compatibilist?
Well, because on one end, you have evolutionists that are also.
What is evolutionist?
What's an evolutionist?
Leo, I promise you, I'm going to be charitable. I promise I'm going to lay out what you all will probably agree is fair.
No, can you first define what you mean by evolution?
Yeah, I don't know
anyone that believes in evolution.
Why are we giving it a name? Why wouldn't you just say?
Okay, fine. Then it doesn't matter. Again. You're picking something apart. You're picking something apart.
Continue your point. Yeah, continue your point.
Thank you. Okay, so on one end of the spectrum, you could imagine a naturalist who thinks that evolution is just one of many natural phenomena. Abiogenesis also being one of them. But they like someone that thinks that it's all natural, etc. Whatever. That could be on one end of the spectrum. On the other end of the spectrum, you could have the younger creationists where the typical Noah's Ark, there was discrete species that were designed, and there was a finite amount, and evolution never resulted in one quote unquote kind to another kind. All I'm trying to do here is lay out a paradigm that most people can understand. Now, in the middle, there's some overlap, and there's something in between. I'm just saying, what if the initial life form was intelligently designed and then it evolved naturally?
How would we know what sort of properties would we expect?
So guys,
go back to the regular screen display.
I want to interrupt you guys. I'm going to ask Neff. I think is going to come back. Would I be able? I know the three of you just joined us. I'm going to ask if Pat, Mark, and Tatilix, since you guys just joined, if you guys could hop out for just a second, because what I want to do is I want to keep James in here as the co-host, just to make sure the temperature keeps nice and down. And so, thank you guys. I heart you guys. We love you. And so we're gonna let Neff join. So Neff, you should be able to join back. And
Neff and who else? Welcome back, Nephilimfree.
And I'm not sure who else has to join. We're going to keep you in here, James, and Neff is going to be in here. And so I'll hold it back. Give me 1 second. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. John's hands. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Sure you can.
Can I ask Sunflower my question?
So
we should hear the
here's
answer
what's going to
there from
happen.
Leo
So
Phillips' response, yeah.
ask your question. Sunflower is going to be an answer, but you're going to have to, unfortunately, hold the response back from whatever Sunflower says. So
That's
ask
fine.
it, and then I'm going to add back Nephilim.
So, Sunflower, you mentioned something about the first thing that we consider living was designed. What sort of properties would we expect in an organism? What would we expect to observe about this early life form or about life forms in general that would indicate that they are designed?
It's a great question. I'm going to be quick here. I know Amy's trying to sort of run a show with a lot of different moving parts. So I'm not going to lie and say that I'm going to be able to conclusively give you an answer. But the most intuitive answer I could give is that for the same reason when we look historically, when we discover things like Göbekli Tepe or cave paintings, there's an intuitive aspect of when we interpret things that tells us, wait a second, this looks like a human did it. Now I'm making a big leap here. I'm saying life in general seems to be an intelligent life form attempting to create life, maybe succeeding, maybe failing. I see the origin of life as like a very advanced form of a cave painting. I know that's a leap, and I know that that's fringe, but that's my answer, and I don't expect you to accept it. But I want to let Amy keep running the show. So
sounds like
That's
more
okay.
like field of geology. Sorry.
But we'll go back. So what's going to happen is we're going to add Neph. We're going to, I think Pat is in, and then whenever someone's done, I think Tatalik wants to get him himself, but we are going to actually maybe I should just stay, but okay, just in case. Maybe just we're going to go back into open conversation.
I'll leave. Wait, does anyone else want to join? Because I can leave. I saw in the chat.
Well, Tiktaalik, I think, wants to ask a question.
If there's anyone waiting, I'll just duck out. I don't really have that much more to add.
I think rational empiricist is
We'll
okay
talk
with
to you
leaving
sometime.
too.
Okay, I'm gonna head out. Sorry, I was
I love having you guys. Once again, this is almost a good problem. I heart you guys so much. We're having a good time. And okay, I'm gonna add into Tulik because I think he wants to ask something. I'm not sure. Did you? I'm not sure if you wanted to have more of an opener since we're kind of in open conversation. But here's going to be the rules. Nephilim is, the lion's den here. So we're all a bunch of atheists, and I love Neph. I've debated him a bunch of times, and I'm sure there's tons of things that I'd have questions for myself. But we're just going to go kind of round robin, ask a few questions, and then I'm sure he'll, after a few people, he'll come back to you or something like that. So, Tiktaalik, if you had a question for Nephilimfree, go, and then we're going to go back and forth.
Okay. So first, I'm not an atheist. My Lord and Savior is Bigfoot, and I just wanted to say that Nephilim's definition of evolution is not only dishonest, but he purposefully excludes evolution from his definition of evolution, because evolution doesn't claim new structures will just pop out. It explains that existing structures will slowly change to create new ones. And an example is panda thumbs. So bears don't have thumbs, but panda need them. So they just mutated a wrist bone so it would project outward. And now they have a thumb. But is that an anatomical change or morphological? Because they have a new quote-unquote finger. But it's just an existing wrist bone that has changed. So that's evolution, but you exclude that purposefully. And if you have been debating evolutionists for like 15 years or whatever you claim, you know this.
Well, you just admit it's morphological, not anatomical. my mode of dealing with creation denialists is not to let them endlessly run from questions while demanding I answer theirs. I don't do that. If that's what you expect of me, I have no business here. I asked
No, you can.
twice. I asked this question
What's
twice.
that?
No, I
Of
just explained your
evolutionists.
mistake.
No, I just explained to you that you just admitted that that's a morphological, not anatomical change.
You
And
still
that
haven't
doesn't-
defined the
that doesn't
difference between
explain
those.
evolution. So
Yeah.
what I asked was earlier, I've asked this question. I had two people run from the
All
question.
evolutionary
What
change is
what is
morphological.
what is the scientific
Every
evidence
evolutionary
that
change is
random
morphological.
mutation and natural selection cause anatomical change? Because evolution portends to explain anatomical change,
But
which is
all evolutionary
excuse me,
change is
don't
morphological.
constantly talk over me. Okay, so if anatomical
Anatomy is
change
just a
doesn't take,
subset of morphology.
excuse me, do I have to leave? So evolution pretends to explain anatomical change. If anatomical change doesn't occur, then there is no such thing as a variety of organisms like the difference between an elephant and a mosquito. It doesn't exist. Therefore, there's no evolution. Okay?
Can we clarify the anatomical change?
One from the,
please?
Why do you
excuse me,
lie?
don't
At
talk
least
over-
let him fit.
Okay,
At
good
least
night,
let him
guys.
finish the
Good night.
statement, guys. Because
Good night.
well, I heart you. Good night, Neff.
Well, that was easy.
All right.
Like I said, he
All
all
right,
he wants to do is
Sunflower.
come in here and ramble and ramble and ramble and ramble. But anytime anybody wants clarification or anything, he just runs like a coward.
All I wanted to ask was what he means by anatomical change. Because what does he think the anatomical difference between a bear and a dog
But
are?
like,
How dare you?
That was a reasonable question.
Son of a
How
bitch.
dare you force him to
filthy
specify
filthy.
Brainbug? Don't you know that's the
It's a
ultimate
reasonable
sin?
question. Brainbug just asked a reasonable question.
Yeah,
No, screw that.
Brainbug.
You can't
How dare
reason
you
with
make-
unreasonable people.
Unsubscribed.
This is he was using any allusions towards what he saw as disrespectful behavior as a reason to bounce out. And I mean, you guys gave it to him. So I mean, I don't want to be the guy, but talking over the guy who's we kind of wanted to
But
be
the
here.
thing
No.
is, all
When you ask the
all
person-
anatomical changes.
I agree, but you can just let him finish and then ask him his
We
ask
probably
questions.
should have just muted everybody except for one
Right.
person and then do
Right.
5-minute alternate sessions.
I
next
think
time.
the issue comes
No,
into
because he
being
just
there's no
rambles
point.
and rambles.
Yeah,
I-
that's
He
the
does,
thing.
but that's.
I think the
that's the
fundamental
game.
issue here is that it only will work when Nephilim is able to, when Nephilim is both willing and able to actually clarify his point for the sake of conversation. And Nephilim won't do that because the moment that he does, the moment his position can be elucidated and clarified, there can be evidence given against his position which refutes it.
It reveals the faults.
Yeah, but
And
all we
if-
have to do is
I would
let
like
him-
to argue in Pat's favor and say that it was like 8v1 here. So Neff
Yeah.
should be given the amount of time to respond the way he feels he should respond.
And I just want to
And that's
say,
exactly
in that
right about it.
defense, I disagree probably vehemently with him. I would do many more debates with him. But I just want to make sure, because we're going to have a lot of people that probably, I mean, even crazy that, I mean, I'm sorry, I don't mean to say, like flat earthers, I want them to come on, Bigfooters, anyone, and
Maybe
say
Standing for
this.
Truth would like to come in the lines then.
Yeah, I just actually wanted to ask Brain a couple questions. My background is in prokaryotic biology, so we can do all kinds of things in a lab to demonstrate evolution and spontaneous mutation in a variety of prokaryotic and eukaryotic organisms. And I know that on some of the, I don't want to call them simpler because entomologists get mad when you call them simpler, but some of the more simple entomological species, I know you guys do quite a bit of mutation induction or inducement.
Can I clarify that I'm not an entomologist?
Oh,
You could
okay.
say less complex. That might work better.
I study ecology. I just like bugs, especially. So
all right. Well, I was hoping because I know that entomologists do quite a bit of we call them gnat studies because that's not my field. I don't want to start speciating gnats because I don't know it. But being able to induce mutation and
yeah, like Hox
that,
genes and
correct.
Drosophila and
Right.
yeah, I actually I order
things that-
species of genetically modified fruit flies. They're flightless. They've been bred to not have wings. But if I keep them, if I don't refresh the population, eventually those genes start waking back up, and I start having flighted ones. In the usually about 3 or 4 generations in, I have to order new ones because they've all developed. So I am familiar with the concept and how they modify them.
Well, that's all I want. I was hoping you could actually, because that's a perfect example of expression and changes in morphology, right? Or expression.
Right.
Gene expression is really, I have problems with this whole anatomical versus morphological, phenotypic.
I didn't understand. That's what I was asking for clarification on.
Because it's dribble, it's nonsense. So
what do you call a fly with no wings? Everybody heard that one before? A crawl?
Crawl.
A fly with no wings. That's a Ken Hovind joke.
All right. And okay, we are I'm gonna send the link one more time because we have. I know there were 2 people that wanted to join beforehand. We are so we're going to, but they'll probably. I think Mark Reed and did TikTok isn't here. Who left? Here, there was someone. There was someone else that. Well, anyway, I'll send it.
Bird left.
Bird was. I think Bird was like, all right, it's about to be a dumpster. We gotta. All right, so I have my fire protective clothing on and. Oh, he loves you, Bird. Send him. And send in love to Neff.
Tangelo just said that he's waiting to join, so
okay.
I can throw him the link.
So on Tangelo, so send that. So, did you? Okay, so Antangelo. Oh, I see. I have to OBS. That's why I haven't been showing comments.
Tangelo.
Tangelo.
And okay,
Amy,
we are.
I'd like to hear Tiktalik's what point that he wants to make about anatomy versus morphology.
Sure. So in that case, we're going to listen to Tiktalik make that point. We're going to add Mark Reed. We're going to add on Tangelo, and then we're going to go for about another hour. And so we're having fun, guys. Tiktalik, the floor is yours.
So his dichotomy between anatomy and morphology doesn't make sense because anatomy, histology, all of that are subsets of morphology. Morphology is just a big umbrella one. And every anatomical change will be also morphological, like mammary glands. An animal that glands when its ancestors didn't is anatomical change. No, I can't put on my volume up. Sorry, it's just a crappy mic. I'll try to speak louder. Sorry, but mammary glands are just modified sweat glands, so it's morphological. Every anatomical change, every new structure will just be a modified version of a previous structure, and he excludes that from evolution. So he can just attack his strawman.
You're going to back him back into an origins argument if you keep going back.
Well, that's what it is. What they always turn to is an origin. It's origins or bust. That's what it always ends up being.
Catchphrase right there.
I hate to say I told you so, but that's what I said, is that even if you address anatomy and morphology as being explainable in terms of an evolutionary paradigm, what it will then devolve into is the conversation whose sole focus then is abiogenesis, which is actually a field that we don't fully understand quite yet. And it's a fantastic area to kind of talk about, experimental methodology and what it is we cannot know about science. But that's more of a nuanced conversation that creationists don't usually want to talk about. So, for shame.
And I just want to say, guys, I've been thinking about a new idea. I think I'm going to create like a bumper. I think every time things get heated, I wonder if there's a video I could just press, like a 3-second bumper that could just be like, bumpa, bumpa, bumpa. Makes sense.
Is there like a
my
alt mute button
tangents
for StreamYard?
No,
That's
I
a
don't
good
think so.
question. I should be using OBS. I'm like on the verge of going full-time OBS, baby. I just got to make the transition. I'm trying to
Hell
fit as
yeah.
many tranny puns
Hell
into
yeah.
this as I can. And okay, we're just gonna.
Oh, God damn it, Amy.
Wait,
Wow.
Mark.
All right,
we
then.
are,
Oh, this kind of stream.
we are midnight ranting.
Before I
on
leave, I wanna.
Someone
Oh,
take
you don't have
Leo's
to
beer.
leave, but you can leave. Did you want to leave? Did you want to have your outro, Tiktaalik?
Leo's trying to impress Godless Girl.
No, it's just.
Uh-oh.
I believe like Otangelo wants to join, and I think more
Yeah.
people.
Oh, I already got him backstage.
But I want to
There
say
are other
something
people
before.
actually wanting to join too. Oh, keep on going.
So I want to say this, and you can move me backstage. So look at how he said that monkeys have a different amount of bones than humans. That's why we are not related. But when confronted with different horses have a different amount of bones, he says that's just variation. That's just morphological. And you can see how he doesn't have any sort of criteria to analyze information. And that's basically it. So
I agree.
Woohoo! Thank you so very much, Tiktaalik. And okay, we got 2 people backstage. I think more people are trying to join. If you are trying to join, tell me in chat. I'll get you in a queue anyway. This is our Discord. This is why I gotta use OBS, because I can't show comments anymore. Woohoo! And okay, Mark, we are midnight ranting.
Hello, hello,
put in
friends.
evolution into the hot seat. How are you? And what are your thoughts about the debate, the subject, anything we've been talking about tonight?
I'm fantastic, Amy. I hope you're well, and I hope everyone's well. It's great to see my fellow hominoids all having commenting and enjoying this debate. I must admit, I didn't see all of this debate. I just saw the first bit because I sort of missed it. I had stuff to do this morning. But what was really interesting about this for me is, and I'm going to call it out, and I'm sorry, Neff, but his incessant quote mining is frustrating. Especially the Stephen Jay Gould one, because I had a debate against him and he brought up Stephen Jay Gould and eventually just turned into me saying, hey, I don't believe you. I don't believe that he actually expressed that. It was actually in relation, what he was talking about was to punctuated equilibrium and not evolution in general. So he was talking about a specific time. Now, I'll quote Dr. Stephen Jay Gould as saying, this was in Evolution as Fact and Theory in Discover, May 1981. It is infuriating to be quoted again and again by creationists, whether through design or stupidity, I do not know, as admitting that the fossil record includes no transitional fossil forms. Transitional forms are generally lacking at the species level, but are abundant between larger groups. The evolution from reptiles to mammals is well documented, yet a pamphlet entitled Harvard Scientists Agree Evolution is Hoax states the facts of punctuated evolution, which Gould and Eldridge are forcing Darwinists to swallow the picture that William Jennings Bryan insisted on God revealed to us in the Bible. So basically, he's been very outspoken about creationists misquoting him, and it was a shock for me to find out that I don't think Nephilim goes out of his way to go and quote mine people. I think he goes to sites like, Answers in Genesis and Discovery Institute and things like that, and he just grabs these quotes, not realizing that they're actually quote mined from these people who are very outspoken about being misrepresented. So I hope he realizes that it is intellectually dishonest to use these quotes the way that he is using it. I don't hold out a lot of hope, but I wanted to talk to him and say, hey, do you realize these people that you're quoting have spoken out and said, hey, we don't like creationists using these quotes like this because they're not, the context is not accurate. The other thing I want to mention is, I don't know if anyone remembers Atheist Junior's Hovind debate. Does anyone remember that?
Sort of, yeah.
he came up with, and I don't know where he got it from. It was brilliant. It was a example of a single-celled algae evolving into a multicellular organism, right? So it was basically these they were colonies to start with, or they were sort of single cell organisms all together to start with, but they introduced a predator. The algae was called.
I know what you're talking about. It's a experiment. I think it was back in 2018 or so. That
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, where predation was introduced to a single cellular colony. I think in this case, yeah, I think you're right that it was like seaweed or something. But upon predation, there was fusion of like the single cell colony, and it essentially it evolved to become eukaryotic to avoid the predation.
Yeah, it was eukaryotic, and like it wasn't a colony because the bits the individual cells could no longer be independent. They were all reliant on one another. It was a true multicellular organism. It is it's a nail in the, well, I mean, creationism's kind of a coffin made of nails, but it's the final, it is a massive nail in the coffin of creationism that they say, hey, this thing couldn't happen. And Hoven's response was interesting. He said, well, if you have another 1,000 examples, you would have something. And it's like, no, you only need one example, because they're saying exactly this thing can't happen. And it was in 50 weeks, and it was 750 generations that a single-celled organism and 3 of the 5 experiments turned into multicellular organisms. So this was an excellent example of something happening that Neff and Hovind and all the creationists say cannot happen. We've never seen it. This says we have seen it. Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. The fact that it can occur at all, right, is significant.
Right. And how can you possibly argue with sort of this kind argument, you know, oh, they're still the same kind? How can a single-celled organism and a multicellular organism be the same kind? That's ridiculous. Like, they must be different kinds. But, you know, they're sort of reliant on the idea that kinds are very, you know, sort of ambiguous and not clearly defined.
It's almost like they're describing what a species is biologically, because a species is somewhat arbitrary within how it's defined and how species are kind of considered based upon what you're studying. It's almost like there's a similarity to
but kinds aren't species. We know kinds aren't species because every time you say, hey, this finch, you know, sort of reference Darwin's work, became a different type of finch, they're like, well, it's still the same kind. So obviously a kind is not a species, but they won't define what it actually is and how we distinguish between different kinds.
I think when they're defining a kind, it ends up becoming more a definition that falls closely along with something like a clade.
Possibly. You know, I've not gotten a good definition yet. I'll just paste the link for that study in the chat for all of the viewers if they want to check it out. It's an open study. Very, very interesting. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, the thing is, I think they're being intuitionist with respect to like how they're defining kind. Because in some sense, I mean, this game of ambiguity is what you have to do if you're going to kind of defend creationism. If you were to defend it at an actual like proper taxonomic level, which the way they're doing it, a kind is not a proper taxon. If you find an example of a bird that does, you know, or like of a type of bird that does not fall into that taxon, right? They would have to abandon that definition. And that's the type of thing they want to avoid. Because for them, I mean, it's the consequence of that isn't just like that they're wrong. Remember that this is building up to an impossible story about a flood that, you know, covers the entirety of the earth and things like that. So these kinds have to be.
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's important to them. Like it, you know, it's important to science to be able to classify and sort of, you know, compartmentalize and make a structure regarding these things. I don't think it's important to the creationists that there is a structured, you know, sort of thing for kind. It doesn't seem important, I should say, because I don't know what they think, but. It doesn't seem important at all.
Well, I mean, I think they would say it's important. I would say they think it's important at least when it comes to Noah's Ark.
The
right? Because Noah's
problem-
Ark.
One thing I wanted to say is it doesn't seem like it's important to them that they have a model that can actually explain or provide novel predictions for anything at all.
And so, guys,
Yes,
I'm going to
I would agree,
interrupt
Leo,
you.
yep.
I'm going to interrupt you. Thank you so very much, Mark. And since you were actually the last to join us, I'm just going to put you backstage for a second.
Yeah, sure. I
because
can't stay
I'm
long
actually
anyway. So.
Gonna... Oh, well, thank you so very much. I love when
dump
you
me.
join.
I'll get over it.
No, you're gone. Oh, doing Matt Dillahunty. And okay, we're going to add in Untangelo and let him do his opener. And then we're going to add in Nephilimfree. And then me and James are going to stay in here just to keep the temperature decently. But Antangelo, welcome to the stream. We are midnight ranting. Woohoo! We are midnight ranting on putting evolution on trial and in the hot seat. I hope you're doing well. And what are your thoughts about the debate or the subject?
What is it with creationists and big headphones?
Oh, that I have.
Their headphones haven't evolved to become smaller yet.
Well, I just used them because I think I look really sexy with them. Okay. So.
Hey,
give it a few million.
Yeah.
Give it a few million years, Otangelo. It'll catch on as a new trash.
Otangelo, just to go on somebody's soundboard here. As long as you're not ball hurt, everything's good.
Okay. So I am pretty fine to talk about evolution, despite what someone else here said, that we like to just to talk about abiogenesis, the origin of life, and not so much about evolution. I think abiogenesis makes a much stronger and clearer case for us, but evolution as well, I think is, at least upon what I have studied, leads to God as the best explanation of biodiversity. Now, I think that talking about fossil record and so forth, that is irrelevant, because the true mechanisms which define organismal complexity, they are on a biochemical level. They are deeper than just an anatomy. And there you have to actually search for the real mechanisms which define organismal complexity. And I have resumed this. I can quote here to what my view is. I don't just simply say because of this and that I reject evolution. I say why I believe that evolution is not the correct explanation of biodiversity. And the quote is, the big umbrella contributor to explain organismal or phenotypic complexity, anatomical novelty, and biodiversity, which falsifies and replaces unguided evolutionary mechanisms, is pre-programmed, prescribed instructional complex information encoded through at least 33 variations of genetic codes and 43 epigenetic codes. Complex communication networks use signaling that act on a structural level in an integrated, interlocked fashion, which is pre-programmed to direct growth and development, respond to nutrition demands, environmental cues, control reproduction, homeostasis, metabolism, defense systems, and cell death. I can put the link afterwards, and Amy, maybe she can put it in the side chat where I expose my entire study. It's based on peer-reviewed science papers. It's not based on answers in Genesis and so forth. It's my study in regards of these mechanisms. So I think whoever holds still the view that genes alone define organismal complexity, they don't know the issue. They don't know the topic.
Well, okay. I would agree. I mean, that's why I was trying to correct Nephi earlier, because he was trying to say that DNA itself is what directs organismal complexity, and that's not quite true.
So I'm going to interrupt all you guys. Oh no, were you done, Tangelo? I don't want to interrupt your opener.
No, just a quick add-on. I agree with you, Destiny, that epigenetics is in as much a relevant factor in special the gene regulatory network. And then of course you have to ask yourself, how could that have evolved from unicellular organisms? And this is a big question, because if you change just a little bit, just in the gene regulatory network, then this, upon what Davidson said, which was the main investigator,
you have a catastrophic result. It's simply everything breaks down. So you cannot simply change with mutations and so forth and then think that you have a meaningful outcome. No, you don't. That's why I say that pre-programmed information is what really drives the making of complex organismal architecture and form. And of course, pre-programming always requires an intelligence which makes the program.
Okay, thank you so very much. Before anyone responds, we are going to add in as I welcome back Nephilimfree. So I want everyone going to be nice and civil. We're going to let everyone, no matter atheist or theist, speak, and we're going to have a good conversation. Woohoo! So welcome, Antangelo and Nephilimfree.
Well, I would just ask the question that I asked that never got answered. This is my common experience when dealing with evolutionists, is that I ask a question and they strive as hard as they possibly can to avoid answering it and drive the conversation towards something else to avoid it. And my question, of course, was, what is the evidence that genetic mutation plus natural selection is able to cause the anatomical change necessary to produce various kinds of life? And no evolutionist in this room was able to answer it or willing. Instead, they wanted to talk over me and move the goalpost and change the subject. And I don't play that game. If you're going to question me and expect me to answer a question, then my questions are equally valid, and I expect you to answer them. Right?
I gave you an answer to that question,
So
whether or not you reject.
You're doing it again.
And
okay.
Do you want to repeat my answer?
Hold on. What's the question, Neff? You wanted to ask the question.
I have not received an answer for that. And so what it results in is this. Creationists ask questions, the goalpost is moved, it never gets answered. Creationist asks a question, the evolutionist move the goalpost, never answer it. The creationist asks a question. It goes on like this forever. The creationist question is never answered.
What was your what was your specific question? Ask again.
If I'm to stay in this chat and discuss this subject with you, I expect my questions to be answered.
What is your question, and I will give it an answer.
It won't be. Give me a few seconds without talking over me, please. It won't be just me answering your questions and you ignoring all of mine. That's not a discussion. It demonstrates weakness, and I don't play that.
Okay? Are you going to ask the question?
My question, I asked it an hour ago. So here's the question. I'll reiterate it. So shut your mouth and let me ask the question. Stop talking over me. Okay. So here's the question. What is the genetic evidence? What is the evidence that random mutation plus natural selection is able to design the anatomical features of living things? Because evolution posits that anatomical change results in the tusks of elephants coming into existence, the proboscis of a fly, the various, every anatomical feature of every living thing is a product of random mutation plus natural selection.
Is there a question
now, if that is a fact, if that's science, what is the scientific evidence that mutation and natural selection design the structural designs that result in anatomical features? Nobody has ever answered.
Well, I don't think that's what evolution is.
All the evolution.
Leo was first to talk.
Leo was first.
Leo was first to talk.
Let me just finish with this one thing, this one statement. Of all the evolutionists I've ever debated, no evolutionist has ever answered that question. Ever.
Maybe tonight will be the night.
I'll
Leo,
answer
get an answer to that question.
I will
the
answer
problem
the question right
is that
wait,
I don't think that evolution, that's what it is. As I understand it, evolution would be defined as more morphologic change over geologic time, nothing to do with anatomy. So your question is just misplaced from the start.
Okay, so isn't it you're now what you're doing? Isn't it true? Let's examine for a second. Let's calm down. Everybody, calm down. Let's have a rational talk. So isn't it true that what you just said is that you're actually kind of denying that anatomical change is what evolution produces? But isn't it true that anatomical
yes.
change, yes?
No,
Isn't it true
that it's
anatomy
morphologic change
but if
over geologic time.
anatomy doesn't change, then there's no. Isn't it like punctuated equilibrium?
Well, there would be a change
let me
in
finish,
anatomy
please,
derivative.
come on,
Let him finish.
please, let me finish.
Leo, let him finish.
Come on, Leo. I don't mind you having time on the mic to talk, but please allow me to finish my statement. So, isn't it kind of like punctuated equilibrium? This creature over here, and then boom, that one over there. The same saying that anatomical change doesn't occur. So the morphology ever so slightly changes over time results in an anatomical change. But we would need a mechanism for that, right? You can't just say that it happens and we don't have a mechanism for it. But you need to be able to show if it's scientific to believe it. A scientific method that demonstrates that anatomical change arises. And I would disagree with my brother in Christ, that Ortangelo's statement that morphological change equals anatomical change, because that requires a precursor to every anatomical feature to have existed in every antecedent all the way back to bacteria. And that can't be true. Because bacteria don't have the anatomical features of the creatures that had 4 legs and walked on land.
We also don't go
Can
back
you
to
shorten a
bacteria.
little bit? We have 10 people in the room. And
Wait, I thought I got to give a response.
So I will say there's 2 parts to that. It seemed like he responded to Leo, but then he also name checked on Tangelo. So you both have whatever either
Leo
order.
and then
but-
Otangelo, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
sounds good.
Otangelo was already speaking, so he can go first.
Okay, Antangelo, finish your point, and then Leo can respond to Neff.
Well, I think in my initial statement, I made my case, what I believe that replaces the gene-centric evolutionary mechanisms. It is much more than that. Whenever someone claims that something is simple in biology, then certainly that person doesn't understand biology. I have not studied anything more complex than biology. So it is very complex, and claiming that unguided random events can produce that kind of complexity, for me, it makes no sense.
So I hope that I could get an answer to the question I asked almost an hour ago.
I'm willing to offer an answer to
it.
What is the scientific evidence that random mutation and natural selection is able to cause the anatomical change that evolution theory requires?
He's got it. Leo, come on.
Either Leo will answer or I will.
So the thing is, I've already answered that question in terms. I mean, it's just the question is misguided.
No, you didn't ask
evolution. Sorry. The question is misguided because
so you want to answer it.
Sorry. The question is misguided because that's not how evolution is construed. It's not construed in terms of anatomical change. It's construed in terms of morphologic change. So what happens is there are random actions that just occur stochastically at the molecular level that will occur in DNA that can result in phenotypic changes in some species. And if these increase the survivability of an organism, then that phenotype will survive through progeny at a greater rate than other organisms and the phenotypes, or rather the genotypes that they carry. And so that particular genotype will be extended through some population over and above others. This is exactly what we see. But the thing is that this isn't this is a continuous process. So these organisms will be continually changing, especially given that there will also be changes in the environment, because the environment plays a very large part in this as well. So we see exactly what we would expect to see: morphologic change over geologic time. And anatomic change would be derivative of that. So to ask, well, how is the anatomic change occurring? The same mechanisms that are giving rise to the morphologic change over geologic time. This is well understood. It's well documented. And if you really think that you have a strong argument against it, I don't encourage you to join streams on YouTube. I encourage you to present your findings to the the highest academic institutions that we have.
And so I think Nephilim,
excellent.
Nephilim should be allowed to respond,
and then immutable.
And then immutable. But Nephilim, the floor is yours.
Right. So you gave us a big story, and then you told us morphological. You didn't do anything but tell us the same story. That morphological change results in anatomical change, but that doesn't answer anything. All you did is give us a fantasy from your religion. You didn't tell me what is the evidence that random mutation and natural
This isn't
selection
an argument.
produce anatomical change. You didn't give me any reason to believe that.
Am I the only
Scientifically,
one who
you just
doesn't
told me.
understand the difference between
Excuse me. You just gave me a story, and that's what evolutionists always do, because they don't point to science. They can't point to science to publish papers in the journals that say, we observed that we mutated this creature and its offspring, and its offspring's offspring, and its offspring's offspring's offspring to 20 generations.
This isn't an argument.
We saw that structural design change occurred in this creature. There isn't any science that shows that. You have to believe in deep time that anatomical change occurs, but there's no scientific evidence.
Well, we observed that.
Happens. So morphology is not the same as an anatomy, right?
I don't
you
know.
Can't claim
but
that.
I granted that. With what I said, I granted that.
Excuse me. You can't claim that every anatomical feature arises because there's a morphology. That's not going to suffice. Evolution portends. This is the thing that every evolutionist hates. It's this. The thing that every evolutionist in the world hates is this: the fact that evolution pretends to explain anatomical change, and morphology is not equal to anatomy. They are not.
I granted that.
No,
nobody said
I granted that.
So
guys,
when pointing to morphological change is not evidence of pointing to anatomical change.
Now,
you
do you
have
want to
failed.
So he's putting out the question. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Jazz hands. More jazz hands. All right. So Nephilim's keep on. He's putting that question out.
Immutable's going to
go. We have one skeptic, so we're gonna let Immutable your turn to, I think, answer Neff's question. I think Neff will probably want to respond, but then I think Brainbug had something he wanted to say, so we're going there.
Probably would
Can you restrict a little bit each one, because Neff talked about 3-4 minutes and we are 10 people in the room.
Yeah, I
think each one of us should be a little bit shorter in the
So here's the thing. The problem is that every time it is in a response to Neff, I have to let Neff respond. So I would let people go 2 or 3 at a time. I'm just saying basically not because I'm assuming that they're asking him a question.
It's been an hour and a half, and I can't get an evolutionist to answer my question.
I already
I'm
did.
trying to be fair to everybody. So Immutable, it's yours. The floor is yours. It's what do you have to say on
Nobody else talk.
All right. So the answer that Neff's looking for doesn't involve millions of years and actually involves very rudimentary genetics. What you can do is with very young species, particularly salamanders that's been observed in, is if you take the embryo of a salamander at a very early age and you cause mutagenesis to occur in specific regions of the genome, and particularly to what are called Hox genes, or sometimes called homeobox genes, what it'll cause a change within the developmental trajectory of that particular organism. And it'll cause one of the particular limbs of the forelegs or hind legs to actually fuse back and become what mirrors a fin-like structure. The structure becomes more basal. And, like people have pointed out already, and whether or not Nephilim wants to accept this is a different point entirely, but every change in morphology is a change in anatomy. So simple changes in genetics, such as changes to homeobox genes, are sufficient to cause changes in anatomical structures.
Okay, so you're pointing out that you can mutate an organism and cause a deformity that reduces its ability to function as it is as a normal creature, and this is evidence that something came into being by random mutation and natural selection.
He did ask the question.
You asked.
Explain to you that What you're pointing out is a complete failure. You're not
No,
pointing out to the
Nephilim,
progression of something coming into being. You're pointing out that you can
Can we
damage
get a back
the
and forth
genetic
here?
information.
So
Excuse
Nephilim,
me. Can you be quiet for a second?
Can we get a back and forth here?
I'm not
Be a little
finished.
bit more
I'm not
concise,
crying out
please.
loud. I'm responding.
You're bringing up a new
stop
point,
talking over
actually.
me while I respond.
Amy,
So,
I think you should
you're
limit
pointing out
one
that
response
mutation
for
and
2-3
natural
minutes
selection.
maximum, and not
Excuse me,
5-10
I'm
minutes.
trying to be okay,
Excuse me.
guys. I'm trying to be fair to everyone. So two things.
I'm trying to
Neff, I'll let
respond.
you let you finish your point, but you did in the point ask a question
Oh,
to
for crying out
Immutable.
loud.
No, no,
It's
no.
you
Well,
guys
wait.
just need to
So
grow all
finish
up.
your point.
You don't know how to make a
Nephilim,
conversation.
you brought up a new point
You're
while
so
addressing my
out
I
by
have
your
to do
religion.
2 or
You
3
just
steps
can't have a
behind.
conversation.
I'm
Shut up.
talking 2 or 3 steps behind. So
I've been
Nephilim is going to
patient for an
finish his
hour
point.
and a half trying to have a conversation with people in here.
He
And
can't
I
even let the
I
owner
can't-
of the
I
room
can't
speak. This is
speak without-
horrendous. This is
I can't
horrendous
speak
behavior.
without being talked over
I agree,
constantly.
Leo.
I speak
Neff, you need to be more concise.
8
Neff, you
seconds
need to
and
be
get
more
talked
concise.
over.
Okay.
Get real.
Nephilim's going to finish his point,
No, I'm
and
not.
then
Good
Immutable.
night
Okay.
forever.
Good
Don't ever
night,
come visit me.
Nephilim, finish your point, but let
You
me
guys
address
grow
it.
up. Learn how to have an intellectual
Nephilim,
conversation.
make your point.
Okay. Thank
So-
you very much, Nephilimfree. I'm going to add
Leo,
Nick's. I'm
when
going to
Pedro just said he
actually
agrees with you. That is earth-shattering.
completely.
That is earth-shattering.
I just want to send all the love to all the people out in here, our guests coming on tonight, and our everyone in chat and our mods. I'm sending love to everyone out there, and I still had a good time. Thank you so much, Nephilim, for joining us. So we're actually going to add in Nick, and we are going to give him his opener. We're going to completely circle right back around.
Sorry, can I make one point before he does that?
No, I would
Okay.
normally. I need to learn how to get tougher. I'm not good
No,
at
I'm-
that.
No, that's
After
good.
Nick,
I'm good.
But
after
I love
Nick,
you.
Ogre,
I love you.
After Nick, Ogre wanted to chime in, so we'll let Nick make
Yes,
his opening
in
and
fact,
then see if Ogre wants to chime in.
Save that point though. You all can
All right.
have all the points in the world. So we're just going to let Nick have his opener. So Nick, we have been midnight ranting on is evolution true? We're putting it in the hot seat, or is there evidence for it? What are your thoughts about the debate, the topic, or anything we have been talking about tonight?
Really? Really? You're going to let me talk now? Now? After everybody has just been talking? Seriously, Amy? Oh, nobody's talking. All right. Well, thanks for having me on. No, I missed the debate. Been busy all day, but I wanted to drop in. Probably can't stay too long, and it seems like there's a very long line anyway. A lot of people glutton for punishment. I also, it's been a long time. I think it was about 2 years ago I debated Hovind on is there evidence for evolution?
And you recovered?
I did. I enjoyed it very much, and I did it on his channel, and his engineer was actually the moderator, and I actually genuinely enjoyed it. It was, anyways, and we covered a lot of these points, and there's probably, since I haven't done it in a while, there's a lot I can contribute, but I'll say this, which to me is very important, because one point that I think gets lost is most of the people who are against evolution are actually only against macroevolution, and they claim to be for microevolution and say that, look, microevolution has been proven and yada, yada, yada. The problem is, if you genuinely understand evolution, and there are plenty of people who think they do, and it turns out they don't, and so, for example, one kind never becomes another kind. Nowhere in evolution does it say an ear of corn can become an elephant. It cannot happen. It never has happened. It never will. So, there are things that people don't seem to understand about the claims, and so it helps to at least, even if you don't believe it, to understand what it actually does say and what it doesn't. But one of the things that you need to understand, and this has always been the case, is macroevolution is just a term we use that makes it easier to understand certain things. Actually, same thing with species. There are a lot of terms that aren't things that ontologically exist outside of how we use those terms. Microevolution is a thing. Microevolution actually happens. Macroevolution is nothing more than microevolution over time. So if you believe in microevolution, it's done. That's the ball game. It's over. There is genuinely no other point in discussing anything other than trying to get you to understand the fact that macroevolution is just a term. All of it is microevolution. It's never been anything else, and I don't know what either of the two gentlemen who were here, or one who heard I was coming and obviously left. He fabricated some excuse, but he knew I was coming. Oh, he's coming back in? I gotta go. But at any rate, oh, come on, that was funny. You all suck. At any rate, so to wrap it up, it's all microevolution, and I have met very, very, very few people, including Hovind himself, if I recall, who actually don't accept microevolution. That's the ball game, and I don't care whether or not they agree. If they don't, it's because they don't understand what we're talking about. The ball game is microevolution, and most of them see the thing.
Mm-hmm. And okay, thank you so very much, Nick. And I think it was Marshall who wanted to join backstage. I think he left. So if you want to join, feel free to. As I press buttons. Brainbug, you said you had to leave? That sounds good.
I gotta go.
In that case, Brainbug, thank you so very much for joining us. And I hope you had a nice night. Where can people find you, and what are your final thoughts?
You can find me on the Brainbug YouTube channel. I'm also pretty active on Twitter. I usually identify any critters that you send me a picture of if you need help. So that's the kind of stuff I do. I like to communicate science and talk about evolution and argue with evolutionary denial and enjoy that kind of stuff. So if you like that, come on over and follow me. I'm almost to 500 subscribers right now, so getting pretty close. Final thoughts. I really wish that we could have had a more engaging conversation with Nephilimfree. I think there are conversations to be had there. I think there are subjects to engage in, but we need to be able to talk back and forth. It doesn't work the way that it was being presented today.
We'll have to do it more regimented next time.
Yeah.
More structured.
Right. But y'all have a nice night. It's been fun.
Thank you so very much, Brainbug. And all right, we're actually, if you would like to join us, we have about 20 more minutes, and then we are going to start doing outros. And I would say, and I think James feels the same way, we are very passionate about this channel, about trying to give people, specifically who disagree with us, the ability to at least get their points out there. Because, James and I come off hard sometimes. We do our politically incorrect rants and all that. So we expect, a give and take. I tried very hard tonight. What were you going to say, James?
We're going to out-Christian the Christians. We're going to treat them better than they treat us when we go on their channels. So they're coming to the lion's den. We're at least going to let them speak their piece. But
Amy, I see Marshall's in the back room. Can I do my outro and leave after he has?
Yeah, go ahead, Ogre.
So, Ogre, we have been midnight ranting. I hope you had a good time on Is Evolution True? Evidence for Evolution. Putting it in the hot seat. Hope you had a good time. Where can people find you? What are your final thoughts?
Yeah, like Brainbug, I have a channel as well. My name is my channel. Brainbug's channel is better. Subscribe to him first. This conversation and the debate was classic Nephilimfree. Not much more to say than that. We all know what he does and how he does it. It's no different. But I do have a request. I'm hoping to maybe do a Nephilimfree primer series responding to his slideshow he's been using for like 8 years and explain to people how they can respond to it from a geologic setting. So if anyone out there knows a good video of him talking geology that's concise, I don't have to wade through 5 hours of bullcrap to get to his points, shoot it my way, email me or Twitter, what have you, so I can start that series. I think that'd be useful to the community as a whole in shutting down Nephilimfree's stupid arguments. That's what I got.
Thank you, Ogre. And then we're going to bring Marshall in.
Thank you so very much, Ogre.
Hang around for a minute.
343.
And so we're going to add in Marshall, and then we're going to talk for a few more minutes and throw a block party, and then cruise on out. And so thank you so much.
Ogre drank all the beer already. Sorry, guys.
Gosh.
You're out of luck.
But Marshall, we are midnight ranting on is evolution true? Putting it on trial. I hope you're doing good tonight. What are your thoughts about the debate, the subject, or anything we've been talking about?
Well, I don't think I really did the subject justice because, I had no time to prepare at all. I was just going to watch the debate tonight of, Nephilimfree versus some other guy. And James said, hey, I need somebody to come on. Our evolution guy canceled. And, there's going to be no debate if I didn't jump in. So I thought, well, why not try it? But and he's asking for things like, do you have a scientific paper or a citation with this? And like, yeah, it's a fair thing to ask in a prepared debate. I should have evidence, but I couldn't even close the tab and find, Google something, and for fear of losing the debate, losing my screen, getting close out of it. But most of a lot of what he was arguing, is quote mines. One thing he pulled up was about incongruencies between phylogeny versus the morphological phylogeny versus the genetic evidence, and he was trying to extrapolate that out as if the incongruent they were talking about the entire photogram being in question. But as somebody in the comments on YouTube pointed out, they were discussing a specific family of bats and how they relate to other bats. They weren't talking about the entire family tree of life not lining up. It's those sort of dishonest tactics are hard to counter if you're not prepared for it. But I think overall I did the best that I could. It's my first debate ever.
I think you did pretty awesome.
I think everybody thinks you did well.
I wish.
Yeah.
Who knows, man? Who knows?
I think I could have done better tearing apart his biblical creationism, story of the ark, and all that, but that wasn't the topic of debate. And he showed, he could disprove evolution entirely, and that wouldn't strengthen his position any. In the same way, I considered creationism, and that wouldn't help. That wouldn't be evidence for evolution either.
And okay, thank you so very much, Marshall. And yeah, for it being your first debate, I don't think you could have done better. That was, Neff has been doing this shtick for a while, and
12
so
years.
yeah,
15 years of prep.
Right.
So
I
welcome to the fun.
When I first got into atheism and everything, probably about 12 years ago.
Yeah, there was a time where Nephilimfree was promoted by Conservapedia.
Oh wow, Conservapedia, man, that was a hoot.
And so
not everybody remembers that.
Thank you, Dave.
Somebody.
Thank you.
Pendulum's getting ready to cut out, guys.
And I just wanted to say, as for a lot of conservatives, especially religious and social conservatives, they talk about this whole politically incorrect thing. But political incorrectness has really nothing to do with left or right. And so, I'm not even going to put any names in there. Political incorrectness has to do with who offends who.
Yeah.
And, was I supposed to? I feel bad. Someone's dropping out. I'm doing speeches that, Tangelo has to, okay. And so I just, I come in here. I hate to use the word good faith but that is the word. Good hope. I am an interlocutor that just wants to understand the truth. I think that most of the people that come onto this channel are the exact same way. And so we're just trying to figure out what's going on. I want to give everybody as much time as they feel to give their point. And then I want to have other people respond. But okay, Tangelo, thank you so much. You've actually been coming on the channel for a while now. You always have a good time. And Always great to have you. We have been midnight ranting on putting evolution on trial. I hope you had a good time. Where can people find you, and what are your final thoughts?
Yes, it's 2:30 in the morning where I am, so I'm going to bed. But I have two channels.
We kept you up real late.
Yeah, I have two channels: the Go Talk and Intelligent Design Academy, and I've put a link to the topic tonight where you can see what I think about evolution. It is how does biological multicellular complexity and spatially organized body plan submerge. And I think what I am showing here is rarely being brought up, namely that the making of complex organisms is much, much more complex, and the real mechanisms, they are very rarely discussed on live streams. So I encourage you to look it up. Just to give you a quick note and an idea here, for example, in order just to make cells, you require 18 different mechanisms. And just one of these items is the morphogenesis of eukaryotic cells, the structure and shape. Like we have, for example, a human body has about 200 different cells, and these have all different functions and shapes. And just to have the shape or the morphologies just of a cell, there are 36 different signaling molecules and mechanisms which direct at least 15 force-generating molecules through at least, in total, 38 different mechanisms and systems. So what we see here is a scheme where always information, even on a cell level, directs the making of organismal plans. And information in special instructional assembly information is always the product of intelligence and of intelligent minds. Okay.
That's
nice
the
everybody.
Night, Angelo. It's nice
Night,
having
the
you.
voice of reason tonight. I want to thank you for trying to keep things civil. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank
you. You're the art guy, aren't you?
Yeah. Bye-bye, guys. See you next time. Thank you.
Be well.
And so we're actually going to switch Angelo out for Pieta. We are midnight ranting for just a little bit longer, but we're having such a good time, so much fun on
Pass the bomb.
Pass that bomb, baby. Soon. That's a little bit later. Evolution on trial. Pieta, I hope you're having fun. And what are your thoughts about the debate, the topic, and anything we've been talking about tonight?
So, as a 59-year-old, I missed the debate because I was sleeping. And I think that might have been the best thing to do for a debate like this. It is 2021. It is in fact May 2021. If by now you still think that microevolution is a fact and macroevolution isn't, then you're the equivalent of telling me that, yes, you can walk 2 steps, but you can't get to the door. Or you just bought a car and you keep it in first gear because you don't think that second, third, fourth, and fifth will do the exact same thing and propel you forward. You're that silly. I'm just saying. And I'm sorry I missed the guy who spent his entire life with 2 buckets on his ears. I'm
Princess Leia.
I'm surprised. Yeah, he's the creationist equivalent of Princess Leia. Not as pretty. Not as pretty.
Okay, wait, hold on. Where's that noise coming from?
I don't know. I think
Jesus, is that you?
Who?
Amy's got the speakerphone on with hell, so.
Yeah.
It's gone now, so Peter, you can continue. I'm
Newman,
sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Peter.
Yeah.
Newman, focus.
I was in the middle of a fantastic statement here. You completely threw me off. So the guy who spent his entire life with the buckets on the ears, No, I'm not sorry. I missed him. He's been messaging me for I think about a year and a half on Skype, and I haven't looked the last 8 months whether or not he's still there. But yeah, don't want to talk to you, Nephi. Sorry.
Well, I mean, Peter,
I've
look.
got-
You
I've
can
better
get in a
things to do.
car. You can get in a car. You can drive it down the street, but you could never drive it to another city because that's just crazy.
And here's the problem, because I've got 2 cars. One of them is a 73 Mustang. The other one is a 78 Cougar. Both are automatics. I have no clue who's shifting gears. This is magic.
man.
I think it might be God. I don't know.
Jesus, take the wheel.
But,
There we go.
take the wheel. I mean, all I do is put it in D.
my Lord.
D for deconversion. D. Okay, so that was my intro.
A is for
Thank
Armrod,
you
D
so
is for
very
Deconversion.
much. And okay.
Can someone get this ugly fucker off my screen, please?
Uh-oh. China's coming in hot.
And okay, guys, we got a few more minutes. Did anyone want to make any comments while we have Marshall here, who once again, kick-ass job. I'm trying to
Tell
think
Marshall
if I
how good he
had
did, yeah.
notes.
Thank you.
Let's see. Rock soup. See, now I can actually make comments. I can do with
Where's your rock, Amy? Got your rock with you?
Fuck is
Grandpa?
rock soup?
I
Like, is
hate
rock
it.
soup supposed to be that thing you made when you were like in kindergarten, and you put the stone in the soup and the carrots and the onions?
Yeah,
and
we did that.
Is that what we're talking about?
I think so, maybe.
That's cutting edge science for creationism.
I know.
Exactly.
As someone who has made rock soup, it is a dish that is prepared while listening to AC/DC.
There we go.
Okay,
Yeah,
but yeah, but the question is it an atheist dish or is it an agnostic dish?
Pretty
well,
sure
rocks
it's an
are,
atheist
well,
dish.
let's see. Rocks are atheists, so it's an atheist dish, right?
Yeah,
Well,
rocks are atheists.
God made Adam from dust. God made Adam from dust from the ground, and dust is made out of rocks. So
there we
You
go.
mean rocks are made out of dust?
Well, that is also the ironic thing is that
We have
when they
another-
yeah, it's a
mean,
golem spell.
when they specifically mean we don't come from something living, they mean, oh no, press me on this question so I can admit that God made us from something non-living.
Remember,
Yeah.
remember, they believe
okay
in
if
Harry
you have
Potter
magic,
magic,
Amy.
right? They
You gotta have
remember.
magic.
Remember, they believe that an incantation spell brought both the universe into
Mhm.
existence, the all biological forms of life, and yeah.
It's always
Adam
an
was
interesting question that I've had. Like,
Adam was
if
brought
you
into
could
existence,
watch.
through the golem spell,
One,
which
two,
is
testing,
a
1, 2.
fairly well understood magical
Testing,
spell.
1, 2.
Amy's got her magic
Judaism.
wand ready.
Testing 3-4. No, I'm just kidding.
Newman,
that one.
focus.
Look, we're gonna need a different kind of stream to see the magic wand.
Oh
If
my!
you
I like
could
this.
watch, if you could watch God create life, like what would you see? So obviously, before it, the Earth would be this brown, desolate ball of like nothingness except this giant rock. That's
Well,
all
actually-
it would be. What would it look like to see God create? Like, will we just see all of a sudden poof, and there's just life everywhere? Would it like slowly fade in over in like 15, 20 minutes? Would it appear piece by piece? Like, what's the mechanism here? How does this happen?
I think,
and
I-
they
I
can't
think what
answer
you would
that
actually
question.
see-
Hold on. They
Wait,
can't
wait,
answer
good.
the question of how God created life, but they demand from us to know how it happened naturally, even though we don't really know what
Leo,
the mechanisms
Leo,
are.
right.
And they claim that
Leo,
that means that we can't have a
honestly,
model,
we-
but then they can.
What
If
Leo's
we were
describing
going to
here is
see that would be a traumatic
burden of proof.
experience, because we would see God create Eve out of the man's baculum, and I think every guy on the planet would still be mad at God. He could have chosen a better bone.
I think they would say that by trying to understand how God did it, that's kind of blasphemy in a way. I don't know.
I
that's
think
just
we're
we are
gonna
a blasphemy channel. We are a pro blasphemy channel.
Right.
You know,
So we support
awesome. Well, fuck God.
I think if we're going to answer this question scientifically, we should first be asking the question:
Hi.
who is narrating God's voice? And I have two choices: Morgan Freeman or David Attenborough.
Well, it's Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman.
There's not even a choice.
All right, you know what? God, you guys are so vanilla. Come
I mean,
on.
don't you guys? What do you mean vanilla?
Oh my
Morgan
God.
Freeman's black,
George
dude.
Burns?
What are you talking about?
George Burns is
Always
a
going with the obvious choice.
George
All right,
Burns.
guys.
There is a third
Everybody's
choice,
talking.
by the way. There's a third choice. In a world. All right,
You know who
Randolph
would be
Richardson,
good?
it's all yours.
Would be
Oh, the guy
Dan
that's like
Elliott.
a really
They
deep voice.
almost derive sexual pleasure out of when they say science is an explanation for this.
Okay.
Thank you, Darth.
Why not? How about
But
Aaron
he's not
Ra?
alive anymore.
He could be the voice of God. How about Aaron Ra?
Oh,
Hey,
I don't think so.
you know, here's a wild card choice: Gilbert Gottfried.
No,
Out.
absolutely
I'm
not.
just
That would
saying.
actually make sense.
No,
Just imagine.
no.
What do you think? What do you think if Ken Hovind died and he went to heaven and he got to see God and he was looking at Aaron
Don't hold your
Ra,
breath, because I don't want to be held responsible when you turn.
like just the look on his face, like it was you this whole
God-
time, and Aaron Ra's
God
like,
would
yeah, I was just
probably
fucking
say-
with you.
The boy ain't right, I tell you what. That's probably what God would say.
I assume so. I also assume God would be dressed and look and talk like Hank Hill.
Yes.
No, I
Number one,
imagine.
I do like being on my knees.
I imagine that God, like, if it does exist, probably like a stoner's like, yeah, man, what's going on? Want to like roll this fucking blunt?
Yeah.
I just made all these memes.
Shaggy.
What are you
I'm going
talking
towards
about? God wouldn't smoke blunts; he'd smoke joints.
Wait,
Fucking
why
plebe.
would God even look like a human? Why
I
wouldn't
don't
God
know.
look like one of the Zungoths from Planet?
Who said anything
Zorba?
about? Who said
If he
anything about him
doesn't,
looking
if
like
he
a
doesn't, if he doesn't, who are we supposed to be
We're made in his
looking
image.
like? I mean,
Look, I mean, God could be trans for all we know. Okay, that's not exactly a popular view, but he could be.
Well, I will
Yeah, I
say,
mean,
God,
I would still.
You
I
can
would
call God
still-
he,
I would
she,
still-
it.
No, I would still
Let me
lump
chime
the
in.
trans people in with the humans. I'm just saying.
well, it's
I
my
go
favorite
for it.
question to ask them because
I
once
mean,
again, going back
God
to the
could be a
social
furry.
conservatives, they're always like, sex. It needs to have, it needs, if it's dangling between the legs, then it is this. And then my favorite question always to ask them is, oh, okay, so
They
God,
almost derive sexual pleasure from being deceitful.
and so this
He does,
God, is he a man, a woman? Oh no, it's a man. Oh, it's a man. So does it
So he has
have
a
like
penis.
the
No.
dangly bits between the?
Does it have a
Well,
15-foot penis?
You see, God is more of a woman and a man, and they're really genderless. So my joke is, if you ever want to make a
Right
creationist
now,
into
you
a
have
post,
spiritual rabies.
if you ever want to make a creationist into a postmodernist, the only thing you got to do is just ask them what gender their God is. All of a sudden, they're signing up at college courses for gender studies courses.
Well-
so,
Oh boy.
next course.
I mean, we all know God has a 15-foot penis. That's what Dr. Hovind
But
said.
some
How are you
people
able to-
Hey.
just say God has penis.
That sounds kind of short for God.
You would think it'd be like
he's
bigger
kinda
than a
shy
black
about
hole.
it.
I mean, come on. Come on, we're talking like cosmic proportions here. The guy
I mean,
made
What
it.
if God? What if God was a penis? It's not that
Mary
God
was
has a
still
penis, God
alive
is a penis.
afterwards, so.
Wait, God has a 15-foot penis?
I would
I'm
like
thinking,
to have a
No.
role play.
I'm thinking like at least a light year in like at least a light year. Okay, maybe that's unrealistic. I don't know.
So wait, but then hold on.
Well,
God
then
did-
how
God
did Mary
exist in
survive?
space-time.
Oh, I can answer that because
How did
you had
Mary
Mubarak
survive? She
on.
was a freak.
You had Mubarak
Ah,
on. Mubarak
my.
explained this to you, Amy.
Don't say the freak. Don't do it.
Amy, Mubarak explained this to you.
Birds and bees?
Jesus was conceived through a blowjob. It was the Holy Spirit who blew through the angel Gabriel right straight into
Oh,
Mary's
my.
vagina. That's
Look,
how
the-
it's described in the Quran.
Okay.
The only
Look,
book
the hate.
that-
Look, guys.
Biblical porn.
It does
This is
say in the
biblical
Bible that the
porn.
It does say that the Holy Spirit came inside her. Okay, I will leave that to your
What?
interpretation.
All right, so look for that and more things available.
And Amy's
now on
had
Pornhub.
Jesus in the Holy Bible, which apparently is appropriate for children.
Woo-hoo. I was always going to say, I believe in Jesus and Muhammad because both of them are my yoga teachers.
Oh my gosh.
What you showing us, Peter? You're
Well.
going to make me do it to it. Hold on. We're going to go. La, da, 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 da. I will not leave you comfortless. I will
my
come
God.
on you. Hope for promises, promises, Jesus. Promises, promises. The Peter in me, baby. The Peter in me, the Peter in
Do
you.
it to me, Peter.
Who knows
Do it
anymore?
to Nick. Do it to Nick, yeah.
I mean, it's all out there. All you have to do is look outside of your car when you're driving. I mean, all the answers.
Look at the
are there.
trees. Look at the trees.
Yep.
Tide goes in, tide goes out.
So beautiful. I know tide goes out.
Tide goes in, tide goes out. You can't explain
Just
that.
wait for
Magnets.
it. We're going to hear
How do
the
they
great
work?
discovery, folks. Are you ready?
The funny thing is,
Have your
I
seatbelts
actually,
on tight? Okay, here it comes.
Jesus Christ,
Leo-
I actually
Leo
can't
is so
explain to you how
smart.
magnets works. It's not hard.
Leo is so smart.
Look at the trees. Try not to get any wood
Look
about
at the
that.
trees.
I just have a question. How long I've been back in the stream because I've been proofing a paper and thought I was still in the.
Oh, really? I'm so sorry, Pat. I probably should have done like a Pat. Well, let me tell you, you've had a fantastic face.
You've been back for
You're
like
doing
10
good.
minutes.
Oh man, we're in trouble now. Yeah, I'm proofing a paper. So.
Woo-hoo. How are they doing? Are they doing well? Are the papers doing good? Are they?
Are you wearing pants at least? That way, if
I
you
am wearing
happen to get up, yeah.
Yeah, I'm wearing.
That
We
could be
love you,
dangerous.
Gavin.
No, we don't. We do not.
I was supposed to
I
debate
don't.
Gavin on Praise's channel, but that kind of fell through. So, Gavin or Praise, if you're watching, I'm waiting.
He doesn't want to
Gay van.
debate you, Amy. He just wants to show up that you see him naked. That's what he wants.
I charge
Yeah, he just
extra,
wants
but whatever
to
he wants.
Show people his non-existent dong.
To atheists or theists, used to think he was just trolling atheists. I was like, oh, I get it. He's like going around showing his
Who?
junk because you silly
Oh,
atheist.
Gavin? Yeah.
And then Gavin showed his junk on Praise's channel. And I'm like, oh no, I think this is just his thing. Maybe this is just what gets him.
He's got big ass sausage slice nipples too, and it's gross as
So what you're
fuck.
telling me is he's a shower, not a grower. Okay, got it.
Poor Pat. Pat.
I mean, I'm just saying, it's
No,
fucking
in that
disgusting.
one video, Leo,
Well,
I think that was like
Nick.
I think that
If you-
shirt was like transparent because you could see like right through even the shirt. I
Dude,
think it
no,
was,
I'm talking.
like-
I've seen him with actually, literally no shirt on.
No, I know.
Well-
I've seen that on Praise's stream too. He's like well, I'll let
Well, the
Amy-
reason I
he's,
know-
he's like half bear, half pepperoni because with those
yeah,
fucking
he's like
nipples, I mean,
like a bear. That's why
The
bird and
reason
on.
I know it wasn't like him forgetting is that he skipped layers, and so if you had forgotten all of the bottom layers, you would have had an excuse like, oh, I forgot that I put everything below me. But he had done his hair, he was wearing a shirt, and he was wearing shoes, which means you have to actually skip the pants. You have to acknowledge that
Did he
you
have a
are
girdle on?
pantsless.
This was a
I don't
conscious
think so.
choice.
Yeah.
This
But hey,
exactly. This was not
Or
forgetting.
something
This was a
other
fashion
than
statement.
Flying spaghetti monster Akbar.
Well,
And okay,
not
guys.
to brag, but I did have a few requests for my OnlyFans in the live chat on the debate.
Oh my!
hey, nothing wrong with that.
I'm
Uh-oh.
very hurt now.
A little bit of
Maybe I want to link to your OnlyFans.
Oh my! They
I'm
asked
gonna have to
how
look into it.
I'm ball hurt now.
they ask us how us debaters make a living, and let's just say every once in a while, you just gotta make our own interlocutors, if you know what I mean. And okay, yeah, I'd like to have
I'm
a
sure
little
Praise wouldn't mind.
The key
What do
to
you
winning
say,
a
Amy?
debate is
Cats
to
are
become the
fighting?
master of the debate.
And I will say, I commonly say this, I consider myself a master debater. I debate in the
There we
morning. I debate in the evening. Sometimes I even, if I'm feeling frisky, I debate in the shower. So, as we are we got about 5 more minutes or so, guys. Thank you, Darth. See, I'm winning Darth over.
Well,
Please seek legal advice if these questions and more may apply to your life.
So we're going to be
talking to
about 5 more
Nephilimfree
minutes.
didn't make me feel like master debating.
We didn't? No.
I'm sorry. It reminded me of
No,
Christian.
no, I
And that's a
didn't.
nightmare I don't want to
Yeah.
relive.
Well, praise
Now
will
you,
guess
on the
for his
other hand,
OnlyFans because praise goes that way.
I'm
Amy.
sorry. The mass debating reference I can only attribute to one thing only, and that's
Mass debating or master debating?
mass
A little bit of
debating.
column A.
Well,
I'm pretty sure we're talking about master debating. Unless there's mass master debating. Is there mass master
Amy, I feel much more like master debater talking to you than to Nephilim.
Oh, see,
I will tell. I will tell you this
gets
much.
you everywhere.
Is watching.
If you look up mass debating, you will find a different type of rabbit hole that you're probably not expecting.
Are you saying you shouldn't Google master debating?
It depends on how you feel about picking on like autistic people, but you might enjoy it and you might not. It's
mass
Immutable destiny.
Oh, I'm very artistic.
Immutable destiny.
I
You're
draw
talking
all the time.
But when you're talking about master debating, it's more important to look at the ceiling holes because ceiling cat watches.
Amy,
yeah,
Amy,
that's I know.
Amy, you
Cats are always looking out for it too.
Amy, you shouldn't keep talking about master debating.
Yeah.
Because you know
You shouldn't bring your cat into it.
You know what just happened, right?
I got a soundbite. That joke I have been working on for 2 years, so I'm good with it.
Everything is
No, you missed it. You missed it. You missed it.
Well, I just was going to say that when the stream ends, I'll go and check if everything is still in place. I hope so.
Oh my god. Okay.
What about the ball hurt one? You still got that?
We just gotta make sure everything is alive.
I'm hurt now. I'm ball hurt now.
Ball hurts now.
Bad Peter. Bad Peter. Bad Peter.
Leo Phillips is trying to hide his laughter. He's probably crying in laughter.
Yeah, Leo, you're
shower with
just
you, huh,
jealous.
Amy?
You're just jealous. I mean, Darth thinks you are.
That was so.
But when it comes to me,
Did you listen to Peter Drucker's response?
God, Peter Drucker.
What
is with them?
Genius and eruditeness of Peter Drucker right now. I mean, I'm hanging on every word of
What's he
his
say about
brilliance.
Oz? We haven't heard that in a while.
Oz.
So I would like to know
Oz.
how
Where
is
is Oz?
Oz's reasoning as a grown adult any different than being a snot-nosed pothead teenager who's just simply being argumentative?
There you go.
There's some irony right there.
Why does Darth like to suck dick?
Want to chime in on that, Randolph?
When is the last time Darth has been a master debater?
Oh my.
He's not. I don't think he's ever master debated.
Well,
I don't know. I mean, it's safe
or
to
maybe
say.
the only thing he ever does is master debate. I don't know.
His fans
I
ask him
think
if I'd like to
every
debate
single
with him,
time the
and
Supreme
I said,
Leader
"Does he have an
streams
OnlyFans?"
goes live.
No. Darth Dawkins fans have been trying to organize a debate between me and him. I'm hoping it happens.
Did everybody hear what
I'd watch
the
that.
doofus Randolph Richardson just said?
Canadian atheist.
Good old Richard Randolphson.
This is the guy who's the head of Canadian Atheist. I mean, have you ever heard, and you're going to have to excuse me, folks, have you ever heard such a dumb fuck in your whole life?
Randolph really had it triggered.
I guess from him, that's a compliment.
You know, I'm wondering
What did
now.
you do
Like,
to
who's...
trigger him that bad, Randolph?
Oh, it doesn't take much.
Oh, I was telling him that
Trying to explain the difference between
things, and he flew off the handle. Says there's no difference between implicit and explicit, Randolph.
Yeah.
And after the stream, he went crazy. Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Explicit and implicit in which connotation?
Well, basically, implicitly, because of the logical
Like he's saying there's-
element, I could agree with him. But explicitly, I'm not taking a position. And he got all upset. Said there's no difference between implicit and explicit.
Yeah, it was on the God belief. You kept saying that you implicitly believed the God didn't exist, but not explicitly.
Oh, I know what he. Yeah, I know what he was
That
trying.
drove him nuts.
Darth doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Yeah. Yep. And then he called me retarded, and so people ask me about it, and I'll say, well, I think he just mispronounced my name because he was angry, and I don't know if that's gotten back to him. But
Well, ad hominems, I mean, it's just loss of points for anything that they were just trying to say. Everyone just eats it. So
I actually wasn't trying to upset him. I really wanted to go through his script with him and see how far.
Come on, Randolph. Come on.
I wasn't trying to go piss off.
Did anybody hear when he had his discussion with
I
Stephen
wasn't
Law?
born yesterday.
Stephen Law was literally like, "Oh, this is a script. Oh, okay, let's see where this goes." And then it was fucking hilarious. Oh my god, it was beautiful.
And there's one part in the debate where
I didn't argue with someone else, little boy.
There's one part in the conversation I had with him where he talks about God. So I said, okay, so you're male deity. He said, where did I say it was male? And then I told him, and then he just went back to the normal conversation. He did not go into that rabbit hole like most Christians do, and I was surprised.
Well,
I thought he might.
yeah, I've noticed they like to nebulize their concept of God and they'll try to argue for something that is so arbitrary that they'll say, "Oh, this is God. God is existence itself. God is the necessary cause of the universe."
Wow.
And they'll try to get you to agree that that thing could exist, but that's not their God. That does not fit the definition that they actually worship. You know,
They're just trying to make him non-falsifiable. That's all I care about.
Yeah, right.
I like that. Nebulize is a fantastic word to use.
And I'm just going to say this, and then we're going to go into outros. I spent like almost 2 hours with him trying to roll through all this shit. He let me get which is crazy to even think about in retrospect.
That's impressive.
He spent most of the time just berating you and bitching and whining like a child.
Still, it was 2 hours. That's a long time.
Newman, focus.
And it wasn't until
go with you 2 hours, Amy. Is that a record or?
Newman, listen to me. You're a grown adult.
On good nights. But he basically, because I would have kept on going longer until
oh wow,
at
that
the
was
third
even enough for you?
question. Yeah, I did. What the thing? Because we were just
I do like being on my knees.
damn straight. But he wouldn't. I was trying to go through his thing so that I could ask questions, and every time I'd be like, I'm going to ask it," because I knew that it was going to be hard to get a chance in Ezwise, but you can hear me ask a dozen times, not like once or twice, like repeatedly throughout this whole conversation. Like, am I going to be able to ask a question? Yeah. One more time. Let me go through this 4, 5, or 6 questions, and you're going to be, I'm like, okay. I asked him 2 questions. I got to agency, got to ask him just about agency, and he kicked me. So, whew.
How old are you?
Thank you, Darth. But maybe I'll go back on there.
Not a 16-year-old.
I'm going to take a few more months break from Darth. I'm still on his channel, but I'll go back and say hi to him later. And okay, guys, it has been fun. I think we are now going to switch it into I hope you guys had an awesome night on our midnight ranting evolution on trial. We are going to start out with Pieta. We have been midnight ranting, putting that evolution.
Oh, I get goose pimples when I hear that name.
Oh, I bet you do. And all right, Peter, I hope you had a good time. Where can people find you, and what are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts are that wait, Leo, stop constructing something when you're on air or mute.
Sounded kinky.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I don't know
Leo.
what he's doing.
Keep it up.
But yeah, so on the debate, I don't think it was a debate. if the conclusion is known to the entire world except for you, then there's no debate. So sorry for that. And as for where people can find me, on Monday, it is at I think 9 p.m. UK time. I will be on Simon Funk's show, which is about the Formula One, and you will see three guys who are absolutely not qualified talking about Formula One. So that's it. I'll be brief.
Well, thank you so very much, Peter. And okay, we're moving along.
Thank you.
Tiktaalik. We are midnight ranting.
Someone get this ugly
Putting
fucker off my
evolution
screen.
and putting evolution in the hot seat and on trial. I hope you had a good night. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, we're under attack.
Decorating.
Ah!
Who's redecorating?
I don't know. And I hope you had a good time.
That's Kent Hovind master debating.
That's Kent. Yes,
There
exactly.
we go. You got to get the wood going somehow.
That's a soundbite right there.
Gotta get it warm
Not exactly
some way.
easy, but okay.
Well, you know what they say. You gotta rub wood to get a fire started.
So where can people find you
know what?
out there
Try
on
me again, asshole, and see what happens.
Asshole.
And what are your final thoughts for the night?
So no, I don't have a social media. I'm just like a happy fish jumping around. I just want to say I didn't get out of the waters to have people like Nephilimfree say the things he says. I had a blast, and I just want to say to Nephilim, listen to the people you're talking to. Maybe you'll learn something. That's basically it. So, yeah.
Thank you so very much, Tiktaalik. And all right, we're moving down the line. Pat, we have been putting evolution on trial, midnight ranting. I hope you had a good time. Where can people find you, and what are your final thoughts?
Well, I had a great time. I have yet to make my social media presence known, but I plan on doing that soon, so information forthcoming. As far as tonight's chat, I think it's demonstrative of what happens when you take a subject that people just want to debate regardless if they have any knowledge in the field. It's funny, and it devolves into a dumpster fire, and then we get sidetracked into useless humor towards the end about masters and debates. And I think it was comical, but largely we didn't get anything done tonight. And like some debates, it's necessary to blow off some steam. So I think we did that tonight. So thanks everybody for having me. Thanks Amy and James. I had a blast, and next time I'll try not to be distracted doing work while I'm actually in the stream.
Thank you so very much, Pat. And okay, that's right. You get bonus points for being a host on streaming and grading papers. See, we're giving you bonus points somehow. It's like, but it's like whose line is it anyway? Unfortunately, the points don't matter. But thank you so very much.
That's right. Like if we have somebody like Will or some of the other theists that come on, you can have a more intellectual discussion, a fair discussion. But someone like Nephilim, I mean, he's just going to be evasive and obfuscate.
Well, and the problem is that I think James and I want it. Like, we want views that disagree. Like, we're not trying to get views on here just so we could kick you. Like on Tangelo, Will, we have lots of different theists. Jim, Amaretto. We're collecting a who's who of heathen theists. But I want everybody to come on and say their word. And so, exactly. So sending love to Neff. I've actually debated Neff on Modern Day Debate. So go check that out if you want to go check a debate out. And, but we're having fun. And okay.
Yeah.
What was that?
Now I get it. Wow. You know what? I'm giving up my Christianity.
Speaking of that, Praise's stream has 8 people on there right now, so you're at 30.
Well, now the question is, how long has Praise been streaming? Has it been Yeah, that is my thing. I'll give them. Oh, 2 hours. So it is a normal stream.
It's just if Leo doesn't knock it off, I'm gonna. Yeah, if Leo doesn't begin knocking this off, I'm gonna call me Internet Lumberjack. Points to know where that's from.
I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. I work all night and I sleep all day.
And okay, we are moving down the line. Immutable Destiny. We have been midnight ranting and putting evolution on trial in that hot seat. I hope you had a good time. Where can people find you? And what are your final thoughts?
Where can people find me? Boy, that's a good question. I'm here and I'm there. But normally you guys can find me on Speed of Sound, to Gravities, or, well, that's his former name, Answers in Atheism.
Go on to Answers
the
in
official,
Atheism.
Yeah. Answers in Atheism is the official name of the channel. Typically we talk there. Theists are always welcome, depending on how Speed is feeling. You may have been told that evolution is just a theory, but creationism isn't even wrong. To quote from one of my favorite science communicators,
It's not wrong.
Raw,
It's potato.
there we go. But to quote from one of my favorite science communicators, Aaron Raw, he makes the point that knowledge is what you can show. If you can't show it, you don't know it, and that's the core bit to what we talk about, even beyond evolution and fields that remain open, like with abiogenesis and some of the drama that surrounds that. And remember, science may not have all the answers, but religion has none of them.
Woohoo! Well, thank you so very much, Immutable Destiny, and feel free to check out Speed's channel, which is awesome, and Answers at Atheism. And okay.
Why do we need to do that?
And we are moving down the line. Leo Felius, we have been midnight ranting and putting evolution on trial in the hot seat. I hope you had a good time. Where can people find you, and what are your final thoughts?
Leo is so smart.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now, Leo's
that
we've
is
all
the
done
best
it
you've
tonight.
sounded
You're
ever,
muted, Leo.
Oh yeah, no. I was waiting for the soundboard to be finished
thought he was
because
on,
when I start having stuff on my own channel, knocking those will be banned because they're fucking.
Hey, asshole! Let me finish. You lying
so,
piece of trash.
Yeah, I do have a YouTube channel. That's probably not a good thing. I don't know who let me have one, but you can check it out.
I'm not fucking
there should be a
done.
link.
I'm
There
not
should be a
done.
link. There should be a link to my channel in the YouTube chat. I try to focus on science, education, and communication, but sometimes that drifts into politics. But this is a different discussion. So yeah, evolutionary theory. I would just reiterate what I said in my opening, that when you have a model that comports with numerous aspects of reality and explains the observations that we see, and also provides novel predictions that have been tested and confirmed, that meets all the marks for a scientific theory. It meets all the marks for something that thoroughly explains what it is we're trying to explain. And if you're trying to overturn that, then you need to have a model that better explains it instead of just asserting that it was done through magic.
And okay, thank you so very much,
Thank you,
Leo
Leo.
Felius, and feel free to check out his channel. It's okay, you're getting... Thank you, Darth. We gotta wake you up.
All right, I will sleep.
And okay, with that, Marshall, you had an awesome debate tonight, and thanks to you, we have also been midnight ranting on Is Evolution on Trial? It's been a burning hot seat. I hope you had fun. Where can people find you, and what are your final thoughts for the night?
You can find me on my YouTube channel is just Marshall Farron. It's all one word. I don't have any content on it yet. This is actually my first debate. First thing to do with this at all. So I was super unprepared. I haven't had a class on evolution in probably 8 years. But it's a topic that I'm passionate about. I felt bad that I couldn't produce any tangible scientific papers or whatever, but I didn't have any of that in front of me. But the thing is, no matter how I did or how well I did or didn't do on that debate, it doesn't change the fact that the scientific consensus is that evolution happened. At this point, arguing with creationists is pretty much on the same level as arguing with flat earthers. It's just something to do for fun. They're wrong, and it shows like they don't really understand the difference between science and religion. I've noticed, they think that if they can point out where, this person said something that might conflict with evolution, like they're trying to, it's like when we try to show contradictions in the Bible to point out that it's not infallible, they think that if they do the same thing with what scientists say, that somehow that's going to make the theories wrong. We don't have priests of evolution. In fact, one of the people that was arguing in the comment section, I noticed when that was arguing against evolution, and the question came up about adaptation versus evolution, and somebody had said evolution is adaptation, and they said, hey, even Marshall says that adaptation is evolution, and linked to the section where I said that adaptation is not evolution. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not an authority on evolution. Why are you citing me? I'm just some random dude that happened to be in the chat and agreed to go on and talk to this guy. But they think
that was
that if
my
they can
question.
What's that?
That was my super chat question. Who asked about was it because they try and separate out between micro and macroevolution. So I was like, because they always play this game, and it's always like, well, Neff, if you believe in microevolution, aren't we really just debating what type of evolution you believe in? And so his apologetic seems to be adaptation. That's the way he responded.
But the thing is, they actually do accept macroevolution. They just don't call it macroevolution, but it is. It's scientifically the difference between microevolution and macroevolution is microevolution takes place within a species. Macroevolution takes place between species. So if you can have a horse and a donkey sharing a common ancestor, that's macroevolution. If you can have elephants and mastodons sharing a common ancestor, that's still macroevolution. So they do accept macroevolution. They just have this idea of created kind. Yeah, well, they have to imagine some impossible barrier between certain clades, and none of them can agree on which levels that barrier is at. And if you use the exact same methodology, you can arrive at the conclusion that humans and apes are the same created kinds. So, yeah.
Well, thank you, Marshall.
Well, thanks for having me on. So. Thank you.
Yes.
Well, thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you for coming on. And thank you once again. I think they said if it wasn't for you, like I said, the debate would have fell through. Yeah. I think you did an awesome job. I think you did not only an awesome job for your first debate, but like I said, I think you gave him a lot of points to think about. And Neff, if you're hearing, you can always say I'm wrong and come back on next stream. And okay,
I wouldn't mind a do-over.
Woohoo! You heard it here.
Okay, he's up for seconds.
Yeah,
and
James is a good, awesome moderator. I out of respect for James and his platform, I tried not to let it devolve into a slugfest.
No, I thought it was pretty respectful. And okay, James, the different one.
The atheist James.
We have been the atheist James. That's right. He's the Christian James. But we support him too. We love him too.
We do.
James, we have been midnight ranting. Is evolution untrue? Been putting it on trial. I think the court is now in session, and I think the jury is out. But finish the plane, land us home. What are your final thoughts?
Well, evolution, of course, is not guilty. It's not like the 60-some guilty verdicts that Ken Hovind had to sit in the courtroom and listen to for all his structuring cases. But be that as it may, I just want to tell Marshall again that it was a good debate. He did really well for being his first time debating, and even if he'd been doing it before, he still did a good job. Neff's a very experienced debater. He's very tough to nail down. He's like trying to nail Jello to a wall. I mean, most of his shit is just arguments from incredulity. I don't see how small changes could add up over time to become large change. I don't see how microevolution for millions of years could end up with macroevolution. Okay, you don't understand it. It doesn't mean it's not true. You know, you could drive a car around the block. You can also drive the car to another state. It's the same mechanism. It's just a bigger time scales. But yeah, I want to thank everybody for coming on. This was a interesting discussion as usual, and we had a little bit of fireworks, but nothing too crazy, so that's good.
Woohoo! We like a little bit of fire, right?
A little bit of fireworks,
Last
yeah.
bite of my sandwich, so you'll have to bear with me.
Nom 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 nom. And okay, I hope you all had a fun time. Fuck,
Newman,
like a
focus.
Jerry, I heard good feedback. Everyone it's almost it's now a meme now because he kept on calling me Newman that I kept on calling him Jerry. So now I get people now all in chat, just random strangers. They're like Newman. I'm like, okay.
I didn't get to do my outro.
Can I be Kramer?
Did I miss you, Randolph?
Yep.
Hey, if
Oh
you're
my
Newman
God.
and he's Jerry, can I be
Okay.
Kramer?
Yes, you did.
This
You
is
did,
the
Miss
guy
Randolph.
Who's the head of Canadian Atheists?
Oh my
I mean,
God,
have
I'm
you
so
ever
sorry. You
heard-
were in
and you're gonna have to
confusion.
excuse me, folks. Have you ever heard such a dumb fuck in your whole life?
And okay, then Randolph, we have been midnight
Land the
ranting. Land the plane for us, Randolph. We've been midnight ranting on evolution. The guy from Canadian Atheist. I hope you had a good time.
What do you have?
And
You
what are
got
your
5
final
people in
thoughts?
Canadian Atheist, 6? You got 7
It's always
people
fun
now,
here.
Randolph?
It's always fun here. I think Pat summarized very, very well, very succinctly what happened. Yeah, I guess when people are having such strong views that are different, it doesn't usually lead to the most constructive conversations when you've got one person who really is refusing to hear anybody else, and seemed to happen tonight. I like what Leophilius was saying about evolution. That all rang true from my perspective, and I would say that when it comes to understanding evolution, I couldn't hold a candle to the knowledge of other people here, Leophilius and Brainbug and Pat and everybody else, because I'm a novice in this area, but I do have some understanding, and it does help a bit. So I like this channel because we discuss these topics, and they are educational, and it's done with a lot of fun. So this is great. So I keep coming back for more.
I know. Sickness almost.
It's a learning process, yeah, I guess. So I do run an organization. Darth Dawkins is right. It's called Canadian Atheists. And we're trying to, our mandate is to try to normalize atheism in society, and by countering vilification efforts and eliminating the minor amounts of stigmatization that remains, because there are still some people who have some incorrect ideas and conceptions about atheists, such as that.
Did everybody hear what the doofus Randolph Richardson just said?
or that we're bad in some way, and we're just like anybody else. We're just part of society, right? So that's what we're trying to promote. Oh yeah, Pat mentioning this channel is an intellectual aphrodisiac.
Aww.
Yeah,
Aw.
that's nice, Pat.
That's so true in so many.
That's well stated. Yeah. So, and you can find out about Normalizing Atheism campaign at www.normalizeatheism.ca. So thank you very much. I do have a YouTube channel at youtube.com/Randolph Richardson. And please remember, Randolph is spelled Randolf. The same goes for my Twitter account at Randolph828. And I look forward to getting on the next show here with you. But yeah, I still side with science. Evolution is definitely the winner here. And I look forward to seeing the debate that Marshall was in. I didn't get to catch it earlier because I was busy with other things, but I look forward to it. Thank you very much.
Can someone get this ugly fucker off my screen, please?
Gosh, I know that godfather of atheism. Gosh, and okay.
Take us away, Amy.
With
Take us
that, we're gonna fly away.
Newman,
I hope
focus.
Focus. New Fucus. What does that spell? A good
Newman,
time, but
listen
only
to
in
me.
the north.
You're a grown adult.
FO.
That's right, baby.
Newman, listen to me. You're a grown adult. Why are you acting like a snot-nosed 16-year-old?
I think Oz has that. If anyone doesn't know that joke, during my conversation with Darth, he kept on asking me to focus, and he's like, Newman, Fucus. What does that spell? And the whole channel got quiet, and I was like, Fuckus? And it's like, okay.
Newman, focus.
Yeah, then they told him he misspelled it. Yeah, and he was just like, he realized he did it there. He's never gonna let that down.
Because that's what when you try and like trip up other people. I was not trying to trip up anybody. You end up
condescending. Yeah.
Normally with pies in your face. Is someone working out? We're working out. Or are we doing smacks? Kinky.
Yeah. Working out. That's what we'll call it.
We're working out. It's an
Exactly.
extracurricular activity of sorts, okay?
Oh my. Hey, as long as you're getting exercise and someone's getting protein.
Blood is pumping, okay?
I hope you had a fun time on this episode.
Protein can mean more than one thing.
On this side. I hope you all had a fun time in this episode of Midnight Ranting, Evolution on Trial, where we put evolution into the hot seat. And I hope we all evolved into having an amazing good time.
Wipeout.
Free soundboard.
You're so smart.
I want to thank my co-host, James W., along with our debaters, Nephilimfree. We'll say the dings. I love the dings. But we'll do that.
You love the dings. You love the dinglings.
Yeah, who doesn't like dings? Dings are nice.
Like Larry David kind of just came out of me for a second. But I want to thank my co-host, James W., along with our debaters, Nephilimfree and Marshall, with our guests, Flum, Ogre, Leophilius, Irrational Empiricist, Brainbug, Bird, Immutable Destiny, Sunflower, Randolph Richardson, Pat Lowinger, Tatalik, Mark Reed. I'm a little special. A lot of special, depending on who you ask. Mark Reed, Atangelo, Nick, and Peter. Along with all the lovely people in chat and our awesome mods who make Andarf Dawkins, who I think is now what is that guy from Lord of the Rings? Like our Smeagol.
Sauron?
He's kind of in the corner.
Yeah.
Don't hold your breath. I don't want to
Not
be held
quite.
responsible.
He's an inspiration to us all.
Want to thank our awesome mods who make the stream so great. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and hit that all button icon so you can be part of our live streams for YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook. And if you'd like to help us make more fun content, feel free to check out our Patreon, More Blasphemy, at patreon.com/Amy Newman. I'm Amy Newman, and we will see you all on the next episode of Skeptic Ball Z.
Like Leo's waving hand. That's fantastic, Leo.
Last episode of Dragon Ball.